Hello everybody, today is July 13th and today we're doing government and social media news for your world.
This is the first time in how many months?
A year,
it's been more than a year, right?
It's almost it's a year and a half.
Yeah, that we're all at the desk. I was here last week, but Ryan had some problems with his basement.
We could do the one episode of the news until the other thing takes over, and then it's back to the quarantine with us.
Yeah.
Other thing?
The new variant.
Oh, talk to me about the new.
Hopefully,
there's another one now. Kappa. There's Kappa.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
We're all
unless that was a joke, because like the Twitch Kappa.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what to believe anymore.
Let's not think about that. Instead, let's think about the awesome So we've gotten a lot more packages of orange in, like a crazy number of orange. We've got a backlog for weeks.
Yeah, we've still got German chocolates we haven't finished.
Didn't you have this in the orange flavor?
That one is the orange flavor.
Triple citrus?
Oh, what's the picture of an orange on it?
I think it's lemon lime. No, see? Lemon lime orange.
I'm really enjoying the reviews, so in hopes of stretching them out, here's another gift box. This is Winthrop Liquors again.
Oh no!
Winthrop Liquors.
Between Linode and Winthrop Liquors, we have sponsorship covered.
They're going to go out of business. And it's going to be like, where's the inventory?
Focus with a PH and Mighty Swell Blood Orange Seltzer. He's put tape over the can. Is this alcoholic?
Was this a secret?
Spiked seltzer, yeah.
That'd be hilarious if you popped that open and it just sprayed in your face.
Got him.
I got some stickers here.
Oh, pass those this way.
Oh, look, it's a $1 NFT.
Oh.
See,
we can
this guy's just having fun at this point. He's bored at work.
Yeah.
He's just coming
watching
up with
the
stuff.
news.
Yeah.
All right, here is a
Cooper
Scotch barrel.
Ooh. Oh,
we have two of those now.
Noisy. Yeah. The mics are going to pick that up.
Oh, that's for a Moscow Mule. Wow, that's copper. This is like $800 of copper.
Maybe not
heavy.
800. It's got some weight to it, though.
Yeah. That's legit copper, I think.
Oh, this one didn't make it into the fridge. Orange passion fruit. I think I had that one.
You had one of those.
Yeah, that one was really good. Scotch barrel. This
That's
one is like
a Crown Royal bag being repurposed for some reason. Is that another one?
Oh,
another
sorry.
Cup?
Yeah, that's another cup. Oh,
this is a wine glass.
I think Krista gets a reusable straw. We now have 3 reusable straws.
I have some at home too. I'll add that to my repertoire.
I don't know what this is.
Oh, that takes some damage.
22 out of 60. Yeah, it was the box got a little bit messed up on the way here.
Is this the Sarlacc? Yeah.
And it's signed 22 out of 60.
It's the Sarlacc, I think.
Oh, so that's like a original print. I almost threw that on the ground. I'm glad I didn't.
That's a shame that got damaged.
Yeah, there was something that was oozing out of the box too. So.
Oh, well we can get these here.
C4
Maker's
Energy.
Mark.
Now the Sarlacc was the thing in the pit. That was something else, right?
No, somebody else sent balls orange.
That was the German box.
No, there was another box that came. This is balls. Balls is not from Germany. This is hot nuts. Oh yeah, this was.
Oh, that's the damaged one. Yeah.
Yeah, there was one of these that was
exploded.
Yeah.
Was this USPS?
Yeah. No, this was UPS. And then here's a Morgan bobblehead. Yeah. So. Oh, sorry.
Oh, we hit the mic. There was probably a lot of really uncomfortable sounds there for probably a solid 10 seconds.
Who is Morgan?
The thing? The Winthrop Liquors guy? Maybe.
But this is a Fallout, isn't it?
Yeah.
Does Morgan at Winthrop Liquors live in a Fallout shelter?
We don't know for certain, so yes.
Winthrop Liquors is a 350 square foot bar with over 200 whiskeys. The front of the public store is based on an 1800s pub. Orange and orange adjacent drinks. Tangible
Orange
NF2.
adjacent.
Orange adjacent is a nice phrase.
Real tattoo art by Will Ralston of Florida Locals. I think that's who that was from.
That's the Star Wars thing?
I think so.
Somebody's got this on their back or something? Can you imagine?
That'd be a long time.
I saw the Sarlacc in a movie and it really spoke to me.
But no, this is not the Sarlacc. The Sarlacc's the thing in the pit. This has got another name, right?
Is that the trash monster?
This is the one that Luke fights in Jedi.
Oh, yeah.
And crushes it, yeah. The guy cries.
Yeah. Neat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have. Did you try any of the German chocolates last week? They're still in a box back here if you want to try some.
No, I haven't been here at all.
Oh, this is a fancy pen. Look, Old Forester.
Why does a liquor store have all these weird items?
To give the people
you get a lot
things.
of samples when you work in a liquor store.
Oh, you're right. You're probably getting the promotional stuff.
Yeah. We got a giant fake octopus at mine when that Kraken stuff came out, and I was like, what are we gonna do with this?
All right, so I guess I'll do the. He's trying to sneak one in here. The spiked blood orange seltzer.
He's trying to make it so that you'll drink it without knowing.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Deception.
100 calories, 1 serving can by case, 3 grams of added sugars. Ingredients: purified carbonated water, alcohol, natural white grape juice from concentrate, citric acid, natural flavors, potassium citrate. This is pretty easy to manufacture because it's shipped in concentrated form.
Dead air.
Yeah. All of us just waiting for the announcement of what it is.
So what do we got? What do we got lined up?
We got government and social media.
You didn't give a rating to that one either.
Oh, that's right.
It tastes like alcoholic blood orange.
You didn't. What was the sweetener in that?
White grape juice concentrate.
So just the natural sugars of the
So
grapefruit.
fructose then, right?
Yeah, it's probably. Well, it doesn't. It just says purified carbonated water, natural.
But fruit juice.
Yeah, fruit juice. Yeah, has sugar in it.
Yeah.
It doesn't say anything about fructose anything. I wonder if that's.
I think they can hide that away under the natural juice.
Or just call it sugar or whatever.
Yeah. So what was the letter grade?
It's alcoholic, so it's kind of cheating. But this is I'd say an A. 2.5% juice. I would not drink this to quench my thirst.
It's alcohol.
It's alcohol.
This would be like a treat.
You should just start crushing that. What if that was A++? What if your favorite orange soda after we do all these experiments is actually one that's alcoholic, and then you have to become a raging alcoholic?
Well, they do have the alcoholic orange cream.
Yes.
And I think you said you had that, right?
Yes. Yeah. And it's not bad.
Well, you know what else is not bad? And I was reading through this trying to find a reason to hate it. Trying to find the hook, the barb hidden in this juicy treat. But I don't know. It seems pretty positive to me.
We have 2 stories this week where I tried to find the juicy barb. And I didn't find it in this one either, but I did find it in another one.
So this one, it seems like this is nothing but good.
Biden sets up a tech showdown with right to repair rules for the FTC. It's almost like somebody sent him a memo, and it was like, you mean the tractors that farmers use, they're having trouble repairing them because there's DRM in tractors?
The thing that secures our food supply? Should we be concerned about that?
And he was like, I will have none of this.
And obviously phones and a lot of stuff. Now, they are focusing on certain kinds of products rather than doing a mass holistic thing. But they're not saying that anything is excluded. So I think the thing about this one is, it's a nice white fluffy cloud. But hidden inside of it could be plenty of loopholes and changes once they start rolling this out.
I really also want to know who wrote it, because that will inform us. Because if lobbyists wrote it, it's a Trojan horse.
Well, it is telling that they waited for this Lena Khan to take the reins. I think she absolved from the vote because she's new, but she is definitely on that pro-consumer.
A couple of quotes in this. So the Supreme Court, we reported last week that the Supreme Court kind of gutted some of the powers that the FTC has, or at least they said, hey, you didn't follow the procedure. And we'll have a story about that. But there were some quotes in here from the politicians and lawmakers that seem to acknowledge that Supreme Court ruling, and they're like, yeah, the Supreme Court, well, all right, here's new legislation.
Yeah, well, I think that's probably what we need.
Yeah.
Think of the tractors.
We need the DRM on the tractors so that they don't eat children, Ryan. That's how that works.
And you can pay your subscription fee to use your tractor that you bought.
That keeps the children safe. Everybody knows that. Even Peloton, the lowly, treadmill makers, they know that the subscription keeps the children safe.
I am a big believer that a qualified parent would keep their children out of the fields during harvest. The same way they would keep them out of the streets and so forth. It's on you. Now we hear, so much about Russia. We're definitely getting into the next Russian fervor. And the big like the Biden-Putin summit, that really spiked it.
The Marcia of the Brady Bunch of the UN.
Yeah, they really, the media is loving this narrative right now. And so we get a lot of these stories.
Russia. Russia has, hackers have breached the Republican National Committee and deployed ransomware.
Not really.
Not really.
It was the old third party every time.
And it was not really like people that happened to be in Russia, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we don't know if it's the Russian government, but it's that whole, like, is there any difference between the two argument? Yeah. So, yeah, they got some records from the third party. They did not, according to the RNC, they did not get into the RNC. Can you trust the RNC? Can you trust Russia? The answer is no, in both cases.
We won't know until it's on the dark web.
And the FTC, as we mentioned, now under the rule of Miss Lena Khan, who she's definitely getting stuff done. Bit of a socialist, but she's getting stuff done, and she's not wasting any time.
The FTC has voted to expand its antitrust enforcement powers. This is an article from The Hill. I think, but I'm not sure that this is related to that Supreme Court ruling, because the Supreme Court took up the challenge. You know, we reported a couple of, I guess it was last week. Was it last week? It was like last week's?
I think so.
The Supreme Court was like, the FTC, you didn't follow procedure. You don't have the authority to do this. And they're like, all right, let's go through the procedure.
So in 2015, they changed the ruling, which would have been the Obama FTC.
Yeah.
Which is weird, to limit their powers. And so now they're saying, no, we don't want to be limited anymore.
Yeah.
We're voting ourselves back into power.
Yeah, which that does seem a little weird. Like, it's like that picture of Obama putting a medal on Obama's chest.
It's a lot like that. But they do make some good arguments about, like, hey, we need this power because look what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean,
and also Ajit Pai was like, no, the FTC is going to be responsible for this. And they're like, what?
Whoa, bro, we didn't agree to that.
And then he did that after they had been neutered by that change.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was all orchestrated.
Yeah, it definitely was.
But I mean, do you think when they did it in 2015, they were like, all right, call Ajit and tell him when he gets in. They couldn't have known that Trump was going to win.
I don't think anyone knew that was coming. Yeah.
Could not have known that. Well, one big thing about, the government corporate incest, the marriage, the relationships that should not exist is government contracts are massive, massive deals. These companies will spend a lot of money and a lot of effort to try and get them because it's just, it's manna from heaven. But they really, really, really want it, and they'll do almost anything to get it, to the point of King Solomon.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, chop it in half. Kill it.
Yeah.
If I can't have it, no one can.
CNBC reports the Pentagon has formally canceled the $10 billion JEDI cloud contract that Amazon and Microsoft were fighting over. So this is, if you've been following the news that we do, this is just a formalization. This is what we've been saying for the better part of a year. It's just not worth the headache.
Microsoft won.
Yes.
Amazon didn't like it. They sent out an army of lawyers to find any kind of infraction in the contract process. They maybe found some. There was a lawsuit. And so the government's just saying, all right, you know what?
We'll do it over.
JEDI's not happening anymore. Now we got a new one.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same. Except we're not going to do that this time.
This is why smaller firms don't like to do government contracting, because you get jerked around for months on end without payment.
Yeah.
And the new one will be bigger and have more cloud coverage.
Yeah. Although it sounded like that they were going to break it down into like subcomponents, and so we could see a situation where, of the original $10 billion, it'll now be $12 billion. But $3 billion will go to Microsoft, $2 billion will go to Amazon, and like $2 billion will go to Oracle or something crazy like that.
And that'll create probably like 40% more waste.
Yeah.
Because they'll have to try to work together. They'll have to do conference calls every Tuesday with that other team that accomplishes nothing. Why am I on your conference call? We're competitors. So, you got to beef up your online structure, right? That's what all the countries are saying. China, Russia, the U.S., even those little EU countries, they're saying, hey, we got a cyberspace.
We've had a bit of a problem with our pipelines lately.
So when this kind of ransomware stuff really, I mean, if you're a leader, that's something you can't ignore, right? Because every day. So what are you going to do? You throw money at it.
DHS is going to add hundreds of new cyber professionals to its ranks. I am really not clear how these cyber professionals, how we're going to get from A to B, because the idea here is that we have less pipeline issues, but I don't know how, like, are they going to reach out and help? Because the fundamental problem is that these companies don't want to spend money. It literally costs less to pay the ransom than it does to properly maintain your IT infrastructure.
I think probably what they're going to do is they're going to regulate them and force them to take one of these guys in-house.
That's great and also horrifying.
And they'll be making them fill out spreadsheets all morning.
Everybody that's watching this program, your industry is about to be regulated to the nth degree, and it's going to be awful. Your working conditions are not going to improve.
Except maybe oil, just because they're grandfathered in, because they wrote the laws.
They don't need to worry about security. Don't worry about them.
It's definitely not critical infrastructure. Also, do you think at DHS you can get away with man bun and t-shirt?
Oh, yeah, because it's hard to, you can't hire to government standards. They've really had to relax a bunch of things. So that kind of thing's encouraged now.
I bet there's some like real old school ex-military types, like buttoned all the way to the top who are just furious.
Yeah.
They're just sitting in their office like, look at this scum.
Yeah,
look at these hippies.
There is a cultural disconnect there because there are a lot of people that are former service members that have done really well with their IT careers, but there's just, a fundamental horrible problem there.
Vice not wanting to load.
Yeah, you might have to click on it and hit enter. I mean, we can simulate it with the blank thing. I remember the story. There we go.
Oh, there it goes.
So if you'll hearken back to January, it was January, right?
Yep.
When the stock market got a little weird, and Robinhood was at the epicenter of it, but when things got weird, they tended to just pull the plug. They're just like, oh, you guys don't understand the kinds of behind-the-scenes stuff we've got going on with our clearinghouse. This could destroy us, so we must turn it off. And a lot of people thought that was illegal.
The feds have seized Robinhood CEO's phone in the GameStop trading halt investigation. This is a news story that we are going to follow with delight and excitement.
Now, Krista, I think, is it still ongoing? I think your household actually got a net positive from the meme stocks, right?
We did, yeah. My husband's the one who does it. I'm not interested in gambling, but he uses a little bit and does a little bit of the meme stocks. And so far, we've come out ahead, but not like dramatically so.
Yeah, I made a little bit of money off of one of them.
Yeah.
But all of these people who were not able to get out of these positions as they fell dramatically, obviously are part of these class action lawsuits.
Yeah, 49 in all, which is sort of nuts.
If you're a Robinhood lawyer, you got some busy days coming up.
Yeah, good luck. You might want to quit.
And if you recall, I guess it was week before last, we got news of this new Florida law, which is like the Trump law, saying that social media cannot exclude you if you were any kind of politician running for office or serving in a public office, down to the locals. So like how much does it cost to try to be coroner or whatever?
Like $20.
That would protect you from being banned from Twitter for ever how long the campaign lasts. That's so easy. And one of the judges kind of looked at that. I think he agreed.
Wait a minute. A judge has blocked the Florida law. There's a Florida judge that blocked a Florida law aimed at punishing social media. Yeah. So this is the one that we've reported on a couple of times now.
He's arguing that you're limiting speech in the other direction if you prevent them from banning you, which I guess is kind of true.
Yeah.
This one,
we talked about this last week, but we didn't have a story for it.
Oh, really? Well, I probably shouldn't be in government, but here it is. So let's just enjoy it. I mean, how can you not enjoy Mrs. Swift? She's so adorable. And this is, obviously, if you're a cop, I can sort of empathize with this. I don't want video of me going on YouTube without my permission. But according to the law, you don't have a choice.
U.S. officer plays Taylor Swift song to try to block video. So they were in public, and it was a protest, and they wanted them to move. And it was like, okay, why do you want us to move? And then, it just turned into a recorded thing. And so the officer was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to play Taylor Swift. And he later admitted, I'm doing this because I think it means that the copyright bots will find this if you post it online.
I think this goes against my very nature, but I'm going to have to defend the cop here. You're very much oversimplifying it, because they were not just standing there. This is the Anti-Police Terror Project. So they were there with an agenda.
Yeah.
for sure. And I'm sure they were very annoying, but it's legal. Gotta let them do it. Has Taylor weighed in on this?
Not
She
that
was-
I'm aware of.
She did, yeah.
Oh.
What'd she say?
She said she was kind of appalled. Like, what? How does this work? And it's like, well, it turns out that most of our life is driven by algorithms at this point, whether you know it or not.
How sad is it? I mean, she probably didn't have enough self-awareness to realize this, but how sad is it that you are the first name that someone comes to in their head when they think, oh, how can I abuse copyright?
Yeah. I wonder if she'll change how her music is like licensed at all. Probably not.
God.
She has more control over it than most artists.
Yeah, she does.
But she probably doesn't make any of those decisions.
Not now, but now well,
she didn't before. She does now, I think.
yeah,
Oh, does she?
She
has
owns
taken
all
her
the
own?
masters. She actually bought her masters back.
almost all of it.
Yeah. I know more about that than I should.
That's
Because I'm not really a Taylor Swift fan, but it's all over the place.
How could you not be a Taylor Swift fan?
I mean, her music's fine, but I don't go out of my way to listen to it.
She's a talented artist, but also shrewd with the business end of it, which, no matter who you are, you can admire.
Yeah.
Says someone with no concept of music.
Yeah.
Maybe she'll do a Weird Al cover song for you.
Did you install something? Because look, we don't have the paywall anymore, but also we don't have functionality.
Oh, we can't scroll,
I didn't do a thing.
Is this an update to Firefox?
Probably.
Good job, Firefox.
Bloomberg.
So, yeah, this is Google. This is the same story. It's just a different aggressor.
Yeah.
Mostly it's the EU we see a lot. Sometimes it's the federal government, but the state governments are saying, hey, guys, you're not leaving us out. We're here.
Google sued by 36 states over alleged Play Store abuses. So the 36 states basically are saying to Google that, hey, you've made side loading too difficult. And that's it. And so Google is saying, wait a minute, side loading is not even possible on Apple's platform. Why are you targeting us? Why don't you go after Apple first? They're the most egregious offender. That's sort of the public comments from Google so far. But in discovery, one of the things in this lawsuit is some emails that Google probably should not have written internally dealing with Samsung and other large manufacturers that were looking at doing their own app store that was pre-side loaded on their phones. Samsung did that. And then Google said, okay, we got to get in front of this virus, is what they refer to it as.
Yeah, I was going to say the quote was really extreme.
Yeah.
And they were talking about just destroying it.
And they paid off other people that were looking at doing the same thing. So that's one of the damning pieces of evidence against Google in this lawsuit. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out.
And it's interesting that you mentioned Apple, because if you remember, a couple weeks ago, Tim Cook responded to the EU, and he was like, hey, listen, don't talk to me about sideloading. That is a security risk, and our customers do not want it. They are safer without it. And one of the EU leaders with the cognitive ability of a 5-year-old was immediately able to refute that.
Apple should use privacy and security to stave off competition, the EU antitrust head warns. I think that it would have been a more impactful statement if the dude from the EU had just said, that's a disingenuous argument. They know what they're doing.
I don't think a politician can speak that directly without having a stroke. I think they went as direct as they could within their personality.
Stop being dishonest, Apple. Stop.
But they are correct.
You know, Apple's losing it over the right to repair stuff. They're like, no.
Why? You think Tim Cook is always that even-keeled, or is his office just smashed up constantly because of all these things that are happening?
He's got a series of robots that come out and sweep up every time he throws a glass.
And then he beats the robots.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Please.
Because the only thing I can think of, the only executive that I can think of, like when I think unhinged executive, the first one that comes to mind is Steve Ballmer. And you could definitely, knew that Steve Ballmer was definitely the chair throwing kind of a guy. And I don't get that impression from Tim Cook. It's more like, like you tell him something he doesn't want to hear, and then he just hits a button on his desk and you're not there anymore.
I could definitely see him being very passively vengeful. For sure. What about Zuckerberg? You think Zuckerberg's always able to keep it under control?
No, I think Zuckerberg would just not respond, and you would have a problem reading him.
Just power down?
Yeah, and and before you know it, there's like a knife sticking out of your chest or something, and it's like, what have you done?
He's just staring, unblinking into your eyes.
Yeah. like, no, that won't work for me. And it's like, all right, what would you like me to do? It's just like,
No answer.
Ugh. Well, we know that we've got the Gray Key and the Celebrite stuff and the Stingrays, and a lot of that stuff actually comes out of Israel for whatever reason. They have good private companies doing it there. But you'd be crazy to think that each country doesn't have their own operation dedicated to this. And the EU definitely has one, and they're saying, hey, we need way more money for this.
the EU device cracking platform to receive a major upgrade. This is, of course, Cerberus. And just to make it clear, because this is the EU, the C and the E in Cerberus is child exploitation response. And by beating encryption or whatever. This is really like, it's just a tool for brute force trying passwords and pins and fingerprint sensors, trying to bypass whatever protections are on devices, not just phones, tablets, computers, whatever. It would be interesting to see in law enforcement how many times the tool was used, Cerberus, in non-child exploitation cases, because I'll give you a hint, it's going to be a very large number that is in cases that it's involved in that have nothing to do with child exploitation.
But if we call it that, no one will question it.
That is exactly right.
Also, 4 million euro? Do they not spend that on catering? I mean, that seems like an amazingly low number, don't you think?
Yeah.
How many employees could that possibly be? That's one guy with an abacus.
This is probably the least bad way of dealing with this, because anything else, any other approach it turns into backdoor encryption, and we must avoid that at all costs. So if they need to build better tools to, examine criminals' devices, okay, but it's sort of precluded on having physical access to the devices, and that's probably better than giving them blanket access remotely.
I think you just inadvertently answered my question. The reason the budget is so low is because they want it to fail, because they want backdoor encryption.
Probably.
Oh,
Every time you think like, oh, maybe it's not so bad, you think about it for a little bit longer, and it's
and
like,
it's worse.
oh.
It's getting worse. The story that has like a secret agenda, it's in the U.S. and we're coming up to it.
So, Brexit happened. How long ago was Brexit at this point?
Decades.
It's been like a year, right? 2 years?
It feels like decades.
Because they didn't
Yeah,
finish it
maybe a
till
year.
like way later. But anyway, the country did not immediately burst into flame, as some people predicted, but it also did not create this financial revolution, as the other team predicted. It's kind of just sort of like, limping along.
I think it kind of complicated a lot of things, like shipping for them.
Well, or map making.
The private equity investment of the country world.
And this is a crazy thing, and I'm like, I can't figure out. I want to get you guys' take on this. They refer to, you cannot get a copyright on factual representations of the world.
Yeah.
That's a broad definition.
Yeah.
Who do you think decides what a factual representation of the world is?
The thing with map makers is usually they make fictitious streets and stuff on the map that no one will ever actually go to. So if somebody copies the map, then there's your copyright infringement.
But these guys, I think because it's an open system, they're trying to get it to be completely accurate. Anyway, they're running into problems.
OpenStreetMap looks to relocate to the EU due to Brexit limitations. The open source UK tech company cites copyright issues, rising costs, and the prospect of more influence in the EU. So basically it's like, hey, you're not part of the EU. You're over there on the island. Oh, oops.
So it's OpenStreetMaps, but they need to be able to have some ownership because they put in so much work to create this. They can't just have somebody steal it and sell it. So that's the kind of thing they're trying to deal with.
Mm.
And they can't do that from the Isles.
I've never heard of Klarna. Have you?
Nope.
That's such a Swedish name, though.
Yeah.
Klarna. And this is online banking. We will see several stories about online banking this week that should make you want to not use online banking.
Swedish watchdog to investigate Klarna for bank secrecy breach. And you think, oh, was this something like Equifax? No. Some customers, when you logged in, saw other customers' information. The most relatively minor blip of oopses from a programming standpoint. And there's this like full formal investigation.
And I love how, if you contrast this with our tech companies.
Yeah.
Klarna was like, yeah, we're sorry, and we're definitely going to work with them. And yeah, it's not that big a deal, but we're taking it seriously.
Yeah. Whereas our tech companies are like, we did nothing wrong.
Our tech companies are like, we're suing you.
For even daring to question
Yeah.
us and our authority.
How dare you speak to me? That's Tim Cook's response. China had a big week. A lot of stuff happened in the stock market. So I don't know if we have like the original story somewhere, but basically in Hong Kong, you could list a Chinese company on an American exchange so Americans could invest in it, but it wasn't legal, but it wasn't illegal. Now it's illegal. And a lot of things happened.
China tech route deepens as Beijing targets data and U.S. listings. So, yeah, some things are really messy in Hong Kong from this.
And they had the big Didi IPO. Now, Didi is an app in China. And we don't have it here, right?
I've never heard of it, yeah.
And it's a big one, and it's really, really popular. And they were going to go, it's like, all right, we're ready for the IPO. And the Chinese government just stepped in and cut them out at the knees.
The Didi app pulled from app stores in China after suspension order. So this is like it started out as a ride-sharing application, but it's used for like that whole gig worker thing in the Asian countries. And I think it was pretty popular in Hong Kong. But yeah, they're like, no, we don't want this.
I think all of these are listed in Hong Kong, right? Because they're the ones with the exchange.
Yeah.
So it does still work, and they're working on maybe making the changes to the data collection to get it back into the stores. If you have it, then you can use it, but you cannot install it currently. And their stock really did poorly based on that.
Yeah. Things are still very, very dicey in Hong Kong.
Hong Kong has also introduced some interesting data laws, and this goes on to the whole Didi thing. Didi fell under the treads of the Communist Party because they were collecting data. Now, that might not be the real reason, but that's the reason they use to do it.
And then
they said, oh, that worked really well.
Facebook, Twitter, and Google threatened to quit Hong Kong over proposed data laws. The industry group representing the company says the proposed anti-doxing rules could put staff based locally at risk of criminal charges. So it's a smokescreen. It's not really about doxing. It's about control.
Yeah, and not letting certain people communicate with these social platforms.
Yeah.
And it's effective.
Yeah, it's like, we need it to be just like it already is in China. And they're like, but this is Hong Kong. And China's like, no.
No, I think this is China's now.
Yeah, and the big part of this argument everywhere is how much protection do we give the platforms when it comes to the things people say. So here in America, we got Article 230. And oh my God, does one side of the government desperately want to destroy that. We hear it over and over again. India had a similar kind of thing, except it's kind of piecemeal. Whenever they feel like it, they can yank it.
Twitter has lost liability protection in India, the government says. Now, technically, these are executives saying this, and it's got to go through the court system in India. This doesn't have a lot of teeth yet, at least according to the TechCrunch article.
Well, you mean it's lawmakers that are saying?
Yeah, the lawmakers are saying this. And so is it just a formality until it actually goes through the court system, or is this really true? This is, of course, the ongoing saga about the cow urine/poop, which, by the way, you know those journalists that we reported on? They've been in jail continuously for like 50 days now.
Now, was India where they arrested Twitter's office?
Yeah, where they raided the office.
Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah, they threatened arrests. But no, there's a journalist. There's two journalists there that just do like regular reporting, like you know, the equivalent of like The Verge reporting.
The anti-cow urine people.
Yeah, and they had you know, in a regular beat, they just had the, by the way, don't actually take the whole cow urine, cow poop thing seriously, and for that they are and have been arrested, and they're still in jail.
I bet Indian jails are tough.
Yeah.
I've never seen a prison program about Indian jails, and I bet the reason is they won't let cameras in there.
Yeah.
They'll be able to write a hell of a book if they ever get out, though.
Disappointing. They need to move to another country if they ever get out. Good Lord.
That's true. We should give them amnesty.
Yes.
And a book deal.
They could totally come live in my basement. Not even joking.
I can't offer them that. My basement's flooded.
Maybe they would help with that. Like
it's not flooded anymore, but it's probably going to flood again.
It's okay now.
Your problem is not one of skilled labor.
It's a little musty. Well, moving on to the robot section, we have a lot of AI stories, as usual, because mostly the world we live in is all about robot AI. And this one has to do with, what was the name of Google's thing that started this whole thing? Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah, the AI. I can't remember.
But Google came up with this thing, and they were like, look, we can synthesize voices if you just give us a little sample. Look at this amazing thing. And that was a couple of years ago. It's gotten a lot better.
It's evolved.
And it turns out you only need about 30 minutes of someone's voice. Jeez, that means all of us are at risk.
Yeah.
And you can do this.
TikTok has a lawsuit that it's facing that is highlighting how AI is screwing over voice actors. So Bev Standing, she did about 30 minutes or a few hours of voice acting, and it's like, wait a minute, they have all these recordings of me saying stuff I never said. It turns out the AI, they were able to take what she recorded and synthesize everything else they needed, and they can use it in perpetuity. But it's like, did the voice actor intend to sign that away?
She says no. She's very vocal about it, in fact. Also, the Siri voice actors, same deal.
Yeah.
She never agreed to be Siri.
Wow.
She just did other stuff, and they bought it.
That's some Little Mermaid shit. Where they steal her voice.
Oh yeah.
That's going to be the thumbnail this week.
You think a lot of modern kids know that reference? Do they go back and watch the Disney classics, kids?
Yeah.
You think so?
They'll probably do a live action remake of Little Mermaid next.
I imagine if you have kids, you just play everything, right? Just keep them busy.
Probably.
If you're a bad parent.
Yeah. Here, watch this iPad. Go away.
Yeah, exactly. Disney Plus.
I would have enjoyed that as a kid.
Disney?
I feel like you probably would have taken the iPad apart.
Yeah.
Instead of watching Disney. Their parents are going to come back in and it's just in pieces all over the couch.
Ruin the family TV that way.
Yeah.
I managed to get it back together eventually, though.
Well, YouTube recommendations. I got to say, YouTube gives me a lot of bizarre recommendations, but more often than not, if I click on them, I'm like, well, I do like this.
I feel like YouTube just shows me the same videos over and over and over and over again.
That is bad. They're bad about that, especially ones I've seen before.
Yeah.
But anyway, the algorithm, as we all know, it's a huge black darkness in our lives because it hates us. If it doesn't choose you, it's your greatest enemy. And a lot of people are saying that it has even greater flaws.
YouTube's recommender algorithm, AI, is still a horror show. It's a major crowdsourced study. It's like, hey, people watch all these videos. Let's give them more of those kinds of videos that are the most horrific things you can imagine. The kinds of videos that, what is it you say? You have to take a hate nap after?
Yeah.
It never shows me videos that anger me. I think it understands.
Mine's like, oh, you liked this video about tiny houses? Here's one that you've already seen.
I Googled something about apple cider vinegar one day, and my YouTube just blew up with apple cider vinegar content. You would be amazed how much there is.
Same with canning tutorials. I don't need that many recipes for blackberry jam. There's only so many ways to can it.
I bet there's an almost unlimited number of ways to can it.
Not safely. You can only do so many things.
Here's a headline that shows you just how much the Russian buzzword is important for media these days. There's no reason for the word Russian to be in this headline, but hey, it's clickbait, right?
Grubhub will use Russian-made robots to deliver food on college campuses. Those foods will be laden with ransomware and will encrypt your burritos.
No, not my burritos.
Revel branded robots.
Will no one think of Taco Tuesday?
They're Yandex branded. Yandex. This is Yandex, the company. So
that's an interesting art installation behind there.
Yeah, I like that.
All right, final verdict on Mighty Swell. It is delicious. It's a very, very good 5% alcohol by volume. It's well crafted. They claim it's clean and refreshing. I would agree with that. This is delightful for 100 calories.
Is that you talking or the alcohol? It's 5% alcohol.
Yeah, I mean that's not super alcoholic.
Drink another one. Actually,
5% is about what you get with beer. Some beer is lower than that.
It doesn't taste beery. You know how all the other orange stuff tasted beery? This is decidedly not beery.
I think that's just a malt. I don't think there's any hops in that.
Yeah. So
it's also gluten free. I can see.
Oh.
Like water's gluten free.
All right. Well, that's good to know.
I like this was nice. It was not heavy, refreshing.
Just smash the can on the desk.
You know who deserves a cold? What was that thing called? Swell.
Swell.
Who has worked so hard? They should get a whole case of Mighty Swell, and they should get it a back rub.
Might be an issue.
They've earned it, but they'll never taste it because they're so far away.
NASA's Mars helicopter breaks records in a challenging, nerve-wracking flight. A high-risk, high-reward attempt fits perfectly with the goals of our current operational demonstration phase. It flew up the side of a mountain, 5 meters per second. That's pretty quick.
And we're getting to the point where it's like, all right, we're not sure. We were pretty confident that this could do what we were trying to get it to do before, but now we're just pushing it.
Yeah.
And it keeps crushing it. What a great little robot. What do you think will happen? Will we be able to recover it when we finally colonize Mars? Will it get a place in the history of Mars?
It'll be in like a museum somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll probably build a museum around its final place that it stopped or whatever. Unless we have a world war or something, we'll probably not lose it. We'll probably know exactly precisely where it is for generations.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And eventually we'll probably get up there, too.
Yeah.
It's on top of a Mars sinkhole, much like the Corvette Museum in Kentucky, and then it collapses the museum around it.
You think there's a lot of sinkholes on a planet
with the
no
water.
rain?
Yeah. Yeah, all that limestone's just being eroded away by all the water on Mars.
Now, if Kurzgesagt that is to be believed, Venus is going to be much easier to terraform than Mars, but we'll see.
I don't know about that.
I mean, it's definitely a lot less hospitable by default.
But it's got all the materials we need there to turn it into, like, we can have its own functional atmosphere.
How would you thin the atmosphere, though? Because isn't the problem Venus's atmosphere is so thick?
You got to go watch the Kurzgesagt video.
Look, you're promoting other YouTube channels in the middle of our news segment. I do love that channel.
Yeah, it's
I'm
great.
subscribed.
And our final story is one of these just existential dread stories, because this is not coming, it's here.
Yes.
And eventually we will all be subject to it, and it will be a nightmare.
What happened when a wildly irrational algorithm made crucial healthcare decisions? Well, people die. That's what happens. And it's already here.
That's it. That's the end of the article. See you next week.
So yeah, they are definitely, and the story here is not so much just the AI decided I have to die. The story is more about like, okay, I see that something is clearly wrong here. Like, I understand what the problem is, but I cannot talk to a human being to correct it.
Oh, no.
Someone's phone's ringing.
Why is that even happening?
Chat.
Sorry.
So yeah, AI's in control of healthcare, and we're all going to die.
There's a flow chart there. Did someone make that image? Oh, it's a video.
Not only is the algorithm horribly anti-human, it is apparently also racist.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems with it because it takes, you could say that it's not racist at all because it doesn't take that into account at all.
Well, but it was trained on data that did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And modern, it's trained on a majority, which, how do you defeat that?
But also, like, thinking about things like, I think heart disease is more common in, like, black people. And it's like, do they have worse outcomes? And then, so is the algorithm looking at that and being like, this person doesn't deserve as good of care because they tend to have worse outcomes. And it's like, no algorithm.
But if you took it the other direction, it would be just as bad.
Yeah.
So maybe the answer is don't use an algorithm.
Yeah, maybe have a human make that decision, but
It's basically already this way, at least in America. Like, you have to make friends with your doctor and make your doctor care about you, otherwise they don't care.
And some of them you're not making friends with.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's time to find a new doctor in that case.
Or no doctors at all.
I'm
The
gonna keep
true
going.
American way.
Yeah, it's like, and that's what the insurance companies want. It's like, I'm just going to keep going until I can't anymore, and any kind of basic medicine that might keep me alive another 20 years. Don't worry about it.
I'll just buy my painkillers down at the railroad tracks like everybody else in this town.
I mean, it worked out for Steve Jobs.
He died.
He died of something that was very curable.
But he didn't have the excuse of, he didn't need insurance. He was self-insured.
All of his doctors cared very much about him. They just wouldn't listen.
Yeah.
And his infinite money.
All right, well, tomorrow will be business and something else. I don't know what else yet.
And the review of the Sparkling Ice Caffeine Triple Citrus Flavored Sparkling Water.
Static water.
It's like a less sugary Sprite.
Don't give it
even
away.
More citrus.
No, make them watch.
Yeah, you got to tune in tomorrow for the more full review. And maybe also I'll get into the balls.
All right. On that note, bye. Hello, everybody. Today is July 14th. We're here with another episode of the news, and we're doing business and security. Was it business? It was business.
It was business. It's always business on Wednesday, almost always. Let's start with some hardware news. If you are serious about having the most hardcore phone on the market, Razer had that gaming phone, but there's a new king possibly in town.
ASUS.
However,
ASUS gaming phone.
no, Razer did the other one, right?
I thought the ASUS one was like insane.
Razer did one too, though.
Okay.
Oh, right. Asus did the ROG one. Yeah. Well, now they got another one. That's even better.
The third.
Qualcomm and ASUS make a phone for Snapdragon Insiders. It's going to enter general availability in August, but Engadget's got the scoop on this, which is probably under NDA. It's a $1,500 headset with a pair of master and dynamic true wireless ANC earbuds.
It's all souped up on that new Snapdragon 888 and all the hotness.
2.84 gigahertz 8-core with an Adreno 660 GPU and 144 hertz LCD refresh rate. Okay.
I'm not sure what I'd use it for. I guess TikTok. I mean, I don't use TikTok, but if I was a TikTok user, boy, could that burn through some TikToks, I'm sure. Another company is in a bit of a pickle because they did something, and this kind of harkens back to the whole Apple battery thing.
Yeah.
Their excuse admits that they did it, but they just claim they did it for a different reason, and that makes it okay.
OnePlus 9 series removed from Geekbench. Update OnePlus gives a statement. This is the first time OnePlus has been hot water over benchmark cheating issues. Slowed by 75%. Oh no, it's intentionally slowing down apps to save battery, but wait, it's not.
So OnePlus claims that they do have code in there. They have software that manages that kind of thing to make the best possible experience for the user and to treat the battery as easily as possible. And this is just a drawback.
Side effect of that, yeah.
Geekbench disagrees.
Yeah. Geekbench is like, nope, get out.
It does seem like they might have pulled a little bit of a Volkswagen here. A little bit of detection with the old benchmarking software.
Oh, you didn't continue your review.
All right.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's so the thing about this that's nice is that it's not syrupy like a Sprite, because I think a Sprite is a little syrupy, but it's definitely got the vitamin flavor, like the Flintstones flavor, but it's covered up by the carbonation and the citrus flavor.
How does it compare to like a 7-Up or a Sprite or something?
It's very similar to a 7-Up or a Sprite, except way less syrupy. And about as much carbonation.
So wait, is that one not
7-Up.
orange flavored?
No.
Well,
it has an orange on the
it's
front.
lemon, lime, and orange. Citrus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if there's just a splash of orange. It's not really, but I can definitely taste the vitamin C and the vitamin D, or maybe not vitamin C. It doesn't say that on the thing, but it's got that Flintstones vitamin chalkiness to it.
Sounds so delicious.
5 calories. It's pretty. This is actually probably hydrate, refresh, refuel. This would be a good drink after painting my garage door.
I love how
Very specific use case.
you always include in your reviews like what you should be doing while you consume this thing. And the Pakistani reaction channel that I watch, they do the same thing. They're always like, you know what? I should be under a tree next to a river when I eat this. And I was like, well, okay.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this would be very satisfying if I was like, sanding to get the paint to stick, and then it's like, oh, okay, I've got to wait a little bit for this coat to dry before I put the second coat on. I take a swig.
It's 90 degrees, sunny.
Yeah.
The garage is pushing the heat back to you.
I kind of doubt that the ice company, like their marketing, is very much targeted toward contractors.
Probably not, no. Although that's probably what I'm going to be doing after this recording, so I mean, it's fine. Trying to get that in between the rain.
It's supposed to rain for like a week straight.
Yeah, I don't want the door to absorb any more water. It's already puffed up like a balloon.
Oh.
Oh, you're getting... I had that for a while.
Yeah.
It's
just the humidity.
Well, mine was... we don't need to talk about my house farms. Well, FTC, Miss Lena Khan, once again, boy, is she making headlines. It seems like as soon as she got in there, she started doing a lot of stuff. And one of them is a very well-known name in the chip world.
The FTC has charged computer chip supplier Broadcom with illegal monopolization. They found some documentation, if you will, between Broadcom and other suppliers that put Broadcom competitors at a disadvantage with those suppliers. You're not allowed to interfere with relationships that, a competitor might have with somebody that you're supplying product to. That's not okay in U.S. law. So,
But the chip makers have so much leverage now.
yeah.
So they're taking advantage of it. We'll see. I think they are probably absolutely guilty of what they're being accused of here.
What's crazy to me is that Broadcom is definitely a much more egregious example of the kind of behavior that Qualcomm was accused of, and they previously went after Qualcomm first. And I think that Qualcomm is one of the least bad actors with regard to those kinds of charges.
But they're so big.
They are big.
Do they just get a slap on the wrist, like here's a fine, and then?
I think as I was kind of alluding to in the last episode, I think that there's several stories here that are designed to fast track some of this to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is going to say, nah, this is just capitalism. I think that they don't know how the state courts will rule, and they don't know, like, this is in California, I think, and they're not 100% sure how that'll go, because this won't go in Broadcom's favor in California. But if they can get to the Supreme Court and get this in front of them, then I think that there's nothing to worry about if you're a large tech company, because the Supreme Court, with the people that we have on the Supreme Court right now, absolutely will side with Broadcom.
But Qualcomm didn't get a slap on the wrist. They got crushed. I mean, it's still appellate, but...
Well, they were successful in their appeal, but then I think the appeal was appealed.
Right, it hasn't shaken out yet. But if they have to pay that fine, it's massive.
Yeah. I doubt that they will, just because of all the documentation showing how Apple... I would be surprised, because Apple really, really screwed up that case. Despite any bad acting that may have been present on Qualcomm's side, the behavior from Apple was worse. But we'll see.
Well, we've known this is coming for a while, but it actually happened. We now no longer have Lex Luthor at the helm of the world's largest online retailer, although he's kind of still there.
Yeah. Amazon begins a new chapter as Bezos hands over the CEO role. Why, you might ask? It's so Jeff Bezos can go to space. No self-respecting company would let their CEO go to space because it's unnecessary for them to be CEO. It is unnecessary risk. So he's going to space now that he's not CEO.
Don't let him come back.
Do you think that when he gets back, he'll just walk into that office and be like, all right, you're done?
Yeah, it's like...
Almost certainly. That'd be hilarious.
We've created a new role at Amazon. I don't know.
That guy, the new guy, what's his name? Bloomberg. But, he's sitting there and he keeps like calling maintenance and he's like, guys, why is the nameplate not installed on my door yet?
Don't worry about it.
And they're like, there's work orders and we're going to do that in a couple weeks.
We ordered it from Amazon. It's not here yet. I don't know, dude.
I hope he enjoys retirement. I mean, maybe he won't come back. Maybe he will retire, and he could, live out his days on his giant Rhode Island-sized yacht.
I mean, he's not retired though. He's still got a position in the company, just not CEO.
Well, but he said he's not going to stop working with Blue Origin and the other little projects he has.
Because he's got to, become Lex Luthor.
But how do you step back from that level of corporate power? What do you do with your life after that?
I don't think you
try to get off the planet.
Yeah.
That's his only goal.
Terraform Venus? I mean, it'd be like Kurzgesagt said that was like the, an undertaking like building the Great Pyramids. Yeah, kind of.
Do we have to use slaves?
Yeah, I mean, that's where we're going. That's the way we're headed.
I mean, if you look at the warehouse workers at Amazon, aren't those basically already slaves? I mean...
You ever read a book about the building of the pyramids?
Yeah, it's really horrifying.
Yeah, they had that... I don't know if it's true.
They had pee bottles.
The thing that always struck me about that is when the burial happened, how many people had to be buried alive with the king?
Yeah.
That's got to be a rough one.
Yeah, you're just in the dark, waiting to die.
Yeah.
People are crying around you.
With the stink.
Yeah. There's no bathroom. They didn't build a bathroom in the pyramid.
Why would you?
Just like a warehouse. There's a warehouse.
Well, we talked about Google, and they're getting some pressure about the whole App Store thing, and this was a big part of that because this is the damning evidence that the FTC is going to be looking at.
Google feared the Samsung Galaxy Store and tried to quash it, a lawsuit alleges. This also came up in the state cases as well, where the states are suing Google over the whole Play Store thing. Basically, Google does allow side loading, but they make it as difficult as possible. And so even if you have, competition in app distribution is a virus to be eliminated. Yeah, that's a direct quote.
It sounds so evil.
It sounds like something from The Matrix. Humans are a virus.
Yeah, that would be a perfect agent from The Matrix. So who was attributed for that? Somebody at Google, but I don't know what the name was.
Agent Smith.
And
we've learned since then that we shouldn't put such things in email.
Yeah.
Only ravens from now on.
So
And
that
the
was
messages will be burned.
Samsung, but they immediately took the same tactic with everybody else, and they realized that they had to monopolize.
We have side loading. We just don't want to tolerate it. We have side loading so that if somebody comes along in lawmaking, we can point at Apple and say, but they don't have side loading, and we're better than them. There's only 10% as much lead in the water. We promise nobody's going to die soon.
I read this headline and I was like, wow, I'm going to be surprised to see if they actually did that. But then you read who's involved and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
none of the really evil, powerful ones.
Yeah.
These guys, unfortunately, don't have any clout behind their words.
Privacy-focused tech companies call for ban on targeted advertising. Companies like DuckDuckGo and Vivaldi and ProtonMail. Well, of course they would call for that. We have Google in there. Maybe Mozilla. Is Mozilla in there? Oh,
No.
I don't think.
Not at all.
I think somebody pretty high up in the Biden cabinet would pick up the phone for Google. I don't think anybody will for Vivaldi. And I'm not.
Like, who?
I'm not saying that's the right thing. I'm just saying that's the world we live in. So, God, if we got rid of targeted advertising overnight, that would destroy the economy, don't you think?
No, it would destroy some marketing agencies that haven't gotten with the program.
But you don't understand the knock-on effect.
Yeah.
Like, that would be a massive blow. It would have to be done slowly.
It seems like, at least for younger people, I guess targeted advertising kind of works, but like usually it's more like influencer based, right?
Well, no, actually, we got a story coming up, Krista, about the console gaming.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the marketing people in that, they were like, we can't, if you're like 7 to 13 years old, we don't know where you are. We can't get you. And we're desperate. We need to target you.
Maybe just wait till they're an adult to start
No.
aggressively advertising
No,
to
that's-
kids, but
we need you to buy He-Man toys and feel nostalgic.
Indoctrination, Krista. That's the important part.
We need you to remember the joys of typing on a Beam Spring keyboard, so you'll seek out lots and lots of Beam Spring keyboards late in life and do stuff.
Yeah, that's a real common one.
yeah, everyone's been there.
Well, we heard about the the other problem with the banking app, and what was it, Klarna?
Yeah.
The Swedish one?
Yeah.
This one's a little bit of a different story. If you remember, Klarna was like, oh, you guys got us. It was actually a pretty minor error, but we're going to take it really seriously.
Yeah.
Nobody lost any money. Nobody was exposed or anything like that, but we're going to work with the regulators. And contrast that with this.
A banking app has suddenly been closing accounts, sometimes not returning customers' money. This is a ProPublica.org story. Basically, this is one of those, new financial
Chime.
technology
It's called Chime.
apps. And it's like, oh, I can use this. It has millions of customers. And they just decided to start closing accounts because, quote unquote, fraud. But when they close your account, they don't really tell you and give you any warning and make it difficult to get your money. And so this article has stories about a lot of people who got screwed. This is not, this happened with Chase really early on. I know somebody that was just playing with like $1,000 of Bitcoin transactions, and Chase immediately was like, oh, we see that you sent Bitcoin to an exchange. We're going to close your account.
They call themselves a neobank. I guess that's just purely online, no brick and mortar.
Yeah, this sounds just like regular traditional banks to me.
Now, you mentioned Chase. They did compare and contrast this with Chase and I think Morgan Stanley, who both have online app-based things.
They have less complaints.
Well, they had roughly the same number of complaints. It was pretty close, actually. But those two companies are infinitely larger.
Well, yeah.
They have so many more accounts.
The proportion was much
Yeah, the
smaller.
percentage is. So they're like, oh, well, maybe there is something to this whole Chime thing.
Can't you report that to like the government? Since the
what that
government
is.
oversees, yeah.
So I don't know if I don't know if it's FINRA. That might just be stock market. But you have the Better Business Bureau and then something else.
You literally can't, okay, you're not going to allow any new transactions. Allow me to use my card to do a transfer out of there.
You can't even get into the account.
They're
No,
a
yeah.
neobank.
Yeah, that should be forbidden by law. Like, you should always be able to get your money out.
I'm pretty sure it is, isn't it?
I think it is, but I don't think that they're going to get, I don't think anything bad will happen to them.
Unless this online banking is a new kind of
Something to get around regulations.
Right,
like
yeah.
we've defined ourselves as something else.
Like
so,
PayPal.
Yeah.
One guy described all he had in the world was $10,000, and he put it all into Chime and lost it all.
Yeah.
How could you sleep if all of your money, it's only $10,000 and it's in one spot?
There's so much economic pressure on the average citizen. Those kind of situations are going to cause somebody to go postal.
Have you seen the news?
Just look at Twitter trending at any point during the day.
Yeah, it's pretty much every day. Yeah. Well, the UK, boy, we have learned in the past 2 years that chip manufacturing is very, very important. And here in the US, we are severely lacking. But our politicians are like, oh, let's get on this. Let's make chips. Meanwhile, in the UK, they're selling everything. They lost an arm, and now...
Chinese-owned firm acquires the UK's largest semiconductor manufacturer. Was it Nexia or Next something like that?
Nexperia.
Nexperia. That's close. So they want to buy the largest chip maker in the UK.
The politicians have obviously spoken out about this and say that it must be reviewed, and they are against it.
Are they going to get Huawei'd?
They might. I don't know. It probably depends on the lobbying power of Nexperia.
Oh, no.
Well, we got the big employment issue here in the U.S. I think it's pretty much global, isn't it?
Yeah.
And people are less willing to take crappy jobs. And that seems to be something that is not changing. And it's changing the way things work in the gig economy.
Uber, Lyft, and Sweeteen? I've never heard of that.
No,
Sweeten?
Oh.
Lyft sweeten.
That's a verb.
That's the, yeah.
Sweeten, yeah. Uber and Lyft sweeten the job perks amid driver shortage and lofty fares because there's a shortage.
So when there's fewer drivers on the road, the fares go up. And the fares being high is the only thing that is convincing someone to drive for Uber or Lyft, because it's a nightmare to drive for Uber or Lyft. And Uber and Lyft are trying to figure out ways to get them to drive without paying them more.
Wow, that's a lot better.
There's a whole world out there.
I can see.
So, yeah, they're trying to actually give them back some of the old perks that they took away.
Oh, you guys are angry and not wanting to work? We'll give you your perks back.
You know, a lot of
Strange
people
how that works.
probably remember that time they got an email from Lyft, or was it Uber, that said, hey, we noticed you've been driving a lot for us. Would you like some things like health insurance? And then people clicked on it and it was like, psych, just kidding.
Yeah.
They were going to give them like $200 a month.
Yeah.
But it was just California.
Yeah.
But they emailed everybody.
Oops.
That would leave a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah. We covered this one last week too, but there's a little bit more info in this article.
You know what? We're skipping it.
Okay.
Oh, never mind. Yeah, it's okay.
We don't even have to coordinate with Krista. It's so easy. It's so easy to skip now.
Woo.
This one is, it seems obvious. I'm surprised it took them this long, but it is also just purely indicative of how awful the world is.
Yes.
TV style commercials are coming to game consoles. When you're in between levels waiting on Monster Train to load, maybe you could get a blipvert. I don't know.
I truly believe that video card driver installers are purposely slower than they need to be because they're
Yes.
showing me ads.
Yes. I also believe that.
That's insidious.
This is the one, Krista, where they were talking about they can't figure out, because children are by default now what they describe as cord cutters, and they don't know how to get to them. So this is their way of like, we have to advertise to these kids. How can we do it? Put it in the video games.
Sometimes I just want to opt out of modern society.
Now here is the most terrifying part of this, because we are our own worst enemy, as with most things. When a free-to-play multiplayer battle arena game from Tencent used this, players were 22% more likely to spend money than they were with a game that didn't use advertisements. So the way they're doing it is, when you watch an ad, they feed you a little crumb. They give you something in game, a digital asset. And then you get a taste of that and you're like, I want more of these. And then you buy some.
No, thank you.
It's
It's like watching the Level 1 news on YouTube, but pretty soon you're subscribed on Patreon and or Flowplane. ...
You get a little taste of something else.
I would compare it more to the drug cartel business model.
Oh yeah, here, have some crack. Oh, you want to buy some crack? Cool.
First taste is always free.
I don't even think that's true. I think drugs are like they're so good at being sold by themselves, you don't even have to do that. Well, we got the new version of Windows coming, and we've seen more. Did you guys see any more of it last week? I think there were some more images.
Yes.
But here's a big one, and it's not really a big one. It's actually a non-story, but I'm amazed. I haven't seen it yet, but I imagine if I looked at Twitter, I would, that people aren't angry about this.
I haven't seen it trending, but it's kind of niche.
But I mean, just because of the color they chose. Because it's like Black Monday, or black, don't associate. Or black, remember black holes? The guy that said that had something to do with race?
Well, read the headline so they know what we're talking about.
Microsoft's blue screen of death is changing to black in Windows 11.
There's a picture in this article.
There were some Smurfs that complained it was racist.
I assumed not that, but I assumed it was more like if someone, people like dark mode. So I assumed it would just be like, oh, we don't want you to be blinded when you get the error message.
The assumption that Verge made is that they've changed the logon and lock screens to black as well.
Yeah.
So this just matches it. Also in the preview build, they're all green.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Why not just let us choose the color, right? Avoid all this.
I want yellow. White text on yellow.
Maybe build an operating system where you should never see that.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, that's unrealistic.
You're going to pretend there's never a kernel panic on this thing?
Yeah.
This thing falls apart weekly.
Poor Rosie.
Well, moving on to security, and this one's a little bit of an abstract security story, but you have to think about, like, if they can tell this from your Fitbit, what else can they tell from your Fitbit?
Fitbits detect lasting changes after you're infected by the thing, according to the New York Times. So this is, Fitbit data. They got a lot of Fitbit data that was quote-unquote anonymized, but they were able to tell, hey, wait a minute, somebody's fitness level and their heart rate and all this other data is way off after they've recovered.
And they didn't even know necessarily in their data who had it and who didn't. They were able to extrapolate that from the Fitbit data. So, enjoy that health monitoring that you got going on there.
Maybe, just, again, go the American way. Don't ever see a doctor. Don't wear a Fitbit. Just live your life in ignorance.
And then, like, one day out of the week, set aside to put the Fitbit on your pet. And to exclude that from your own data, but they don't know.
Ooh.
And then you get a call, and it's like, your cat has cancer.
How do you know I have a cat? We know, sir.
We know about Mr. Giggles. Well, here is, we've seen this story before. It was slightly different, but I don't know if this is just more narrative or they've discovered something new, but it sort of reinforces it.
Code in huge ransomware attack written to avoid computers that use Russian keyboards, says a new report. They don't want to annoy the local authorities, and they know that they'll be able to run their business much longer if they do it this way. This is, of course, talking about the Kaseya thing.
Yeah, so actually this is out of order. We should have talked about that first. But we didn't. So this one is really terrifying because we are used to seeing these kinds of headlines from China because the Chinese government, they don't care about their people's privacy, and the people seem to be used to that. But this is not just sold in China. This is a worldwide thing.
Reuters reports that this prenatal test developed with Chinese military analyzes your genetic information from a drop of blood is stored for the Chinese military.
Now, according to Reuters, you send in your blood, and when you send in blood, you send in more blood than they need.
And it's going to Hong Kong.
Well, but I'm saying, like, that's standard operating procedure.
Yeah.
Remember the Theranos thing?
Yeah.
Because that was supposed to be their business model. It's like, oh, we don't need that much blood. No, they do. Everybody does. But if you do things right, you will have a little bit left over, which should be off to the incinerator. Well, it turns out maybe not going to the incinerator.
No.
The concern that I saw about this was that if they have a big enough database of information, they could, in theory, generate diseases that are tailored to certain genetic components that they
How
find.
would the Chinese generate diseases, Krista? That's false.
Yeah, no, that would never happen.
It also makes it difficult, like, for spycraft. It's like if you have a spy that has a fake backstory, you can run the genetic information and be like, oh, I see your third cousin lives in London.
Every day we're getting closer to Gattaca.
I've got some good news. Your second cousin is pregnant, And I've got some bad news. You're going to be tortured to death.
Looking forward to those new kidneys.
Well, we know about Revel and Cozy Bear and all those funny names. Now we got another one, Side Copy, but they have a different target than we're used to.
Side Copy, cyber-espionage group, targets Indian government and the military. They want to know what those people that are locking up the journalists for the cow poop and urine story are thinking.
Do you think Side Copy is pro or anti-cow urine?
Probably anti.
I would think,
maybe not.
So they did a lot of phishing and stuff like that, attacking people who are in all these various things. They haven't done anything, haven't gotten in any major way yet, but the Indian government has noticed. And in order to protect their infrastructure, they soaked all of the Ethernet cables in cow urine.
It was not effective.
Don't say that.
We've been banned. No.
Well, we had Mike Lindell's, what did he call his social media platform?
My Twitter.
It was, what was the name of it?
I can't remember now.
But anyway, I remember it launched, but it didn't really work. And a week later, it still hadn't. I don't know if it's functional now.
Oh, the one that he tried to use Drupal for? Yeah, that did not end well.
Yeah, and I don't think that's actually functional anymore. And you might be able to go there, but it certainly didn't take off. It's certainly not going to compete with Twitter at all. But they're going to try again.
Hackers scraped 90,000 Getter user emails, surprising no one. Oh, they didn't just get the emails. They got everything that you put into the site. Just days after its launch, hackers have already found a way to take advantage of Getter's buggy API to get the username, email address, and location of thousands of users.
So this was not actually a hack. This was
a feature.
Do you call them hackers? This was just an open API that was not properly secured.
Somebody was just using Postman to be like, hey, what does this do? Click, click, click. Oh, look at that. It's everything.
So they got pretty much everything. Getter has responded, and they said it wasn't a hack, which is kind of true, and it wasn't that big a deal. They didn't get a lot of personal information.
It wasn't like Equifax or anything. What are you guys making a big deal about this?
Yeah, but they were already not being treated well by the media because, you know, it's kind of a dumb thing to do. Now they're just taking it even harder. They also sold this as like, well, maybe this will be Donald Trump's social platform. But I don't think he's ever endorsed it or anything.
Yeah.
No. No, he's still fighting to get back on the others.
All right. Now, debit card apps for kids. This is an interesting thing. I mean, I guess in the digital payment world, you do need your kid to have money somehow, right?
Yeah.
So what is the safest way to do it?
I would think a Visa gift card, but
but you can't control what they do with that. They could do anything with that.
yeah.
So if you want to control things, maybe you look at something like this, but there's a catch.
Debit card apps for kids are collecting a shocking amount of personal data. Greenlight says it's not currently selling data on kids' spending habits to advertisers, but its privacy policy suggests that it could start any time.
I would say they could go ahead and just say that they will start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We just haven't
Assume
found
that's
a-
already happening.
We just haven't found a buyer yet. That's the plan. That's the business model. What are you talking about?
The lawyers are doing their due diligence. They're making sure that we have deniability. But once we figure that out, we're going to do it. So they do offer controls, and you can get, it reports back to you whenever your kid spends money on something. What a dark timeline.
Just get a gift card.
Or cash. I mean, I guess they could use cash for things you don't want them to, right?
I mean, that's true of most gifts. Like, yeah, I got
Well,
you a pool noodle, and now you're hitting your sister with it.
You're not going to buy meth with your Visa card. Now, you might buy some, laundry detergent and trade it for some meth. Huh? License plate cameras, we've talked about ad nauseum. I mean, how many different stories have we done about license plate cameras? This doesn't really give us a lot of new information on that type of thing, but it shows us the scope of license plate cameras, at least in Chicago.
License plate cameras can help police, but privacy concerns raise a call for regulation. This is our twice-yearly story about the successes of license plate scanners scanning millions of license plates. They found a stolen car at a gas station.
Wow, what a victory for them.
But they do point out that not only do every police car has one, there are any kind of mounted camera that the city owns, that's also doing it, but there are private agreements for private companies who are also reporting back this kind of thing.
Neat. What could possibly go wrong?
So when you're driving through a parking lot, chances are you are getting license plate scanned.
And no one would ever abuse that, not exchanged boyfriends or ex-husbands or anything to track your movement. That would never happen.
Remember those cops that got in trouble?
For literally that in every state?
Well, they were running plates for other people for cash.
Yeah.
Oh. But you got to have a database to run them against, don't you? Should have put this one earlier. This was one of the biggest stories in the security this week.
Scale and details of the massive Kaseya ransomware attack emerged. So if you've been living under a rock, ransomware was deployed because the bad guys got into a managed service provider that makes the Kaseya software, which a lot of smaller companies use to manage their clients' stuff. So about 1,000 companies, 10,000 plus computers were affected by this. They want $50 to $70 million for a universal decryption key, and they're hoping that a government will step up and do this.
I did see that they brought their number down.
It was from 70 to 50.
Yeah.
So,
but they certainly, I think almost every country in the world was affected.
yeah.
So they certainly have the scope.
Yeah, if you use this kind of software to manage your infrastructure, chances are you had a lot of computers. So,
do you think there's still, like on Monday, everybody's going to come back to work, and there's going to be somebody in the stand-up meeting who's going to be like, we have to back everything up. I've been screaming this for 6 Look, and they're like, we don't really have that in the budget right now.
yeah.
We'll pay that ransom though.
Yeah. Well,
50
not now.
mil.
Yeah, I mean, it's too much work to deal with it on an
Now,
individual basis.
If you buy the key, do you give it away, or are you like, hey guys, you're going to have to chip in here?
Yeah, that's what the attackers were saying is like, you're all going to have to come together and to pay the ransom, then we'll give you a universal decrypter.
The ransomware was about the friends we made along the way.
But then it's going to be like when you're splitting a check at a restaurant. It's like, guys, I just had coffee.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
I've
really?
only got 200 computers. I shouldn't have to pay.
You had a lobster.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. We'll be seeing a lot more of that. Another bad Google Play app. This is really, really getting to be an old story.
Apps with 5.8 million Google Play downloads stole users' Facebook passwords. Researchers uncovered 9 apps that used a sneaky method to pilfer their credentials. I looked into this. How it works is it actually does use the Facebook Connect library, but it injects its own JavaScript library, which sniffs the page. And that would be very kind of sort of tricky. Like, it looks like that if you're doing that for legit purposes as well as doing that for illegitimate purposes. So using that, they could sniff your credentials and pass it on to criminals, which is what the article says they did.
Also, these were not Facebook-related apps. These were full-featured apps that did a variety of other things and apparently worked pretty well, but they offered you some extra functionality if you joined your Facebook account. That's where they got you.
Never do it.
Oh, it's the same story.
Yeah, that's the MSP again. So if you've invited an Echo device into your home, if Alexa is in your home, you need to be concerned because obviously these things are, how long do you think the average consumer would keep an Alexa before getting the new model?
6 months.
Wow, really think it's that low?
I'd say at least a year, maybe 2 years. Like same thing as like a phone, 2 to 3 years maybe.
And I would say that like all consumers, they will dutifully dismantle it, take out the lithium battery, have that properly disposed of.
Have it crushed into dust.
Right? I mean, everybody does that, right? So this is really not a risk.
Thinking about selling your Echo Dot or any other IoT device, read this first. So the researchers here bought a bunch used, like 70 some, and 61% they were able to recover basically everything. And the really exciting thing that they were able to do with these is they could read the information from the device about what Wi-Fi network name and password it expected. Then they were able to set up their own Wi-Fi network with the same name and password. And then you plug this thing in, it'll happily join that network, and it's linked up to somebody's Amazon account. You say, hey Alexa, order me 50 pounds of Haribo gummy bears, and it will say, yes, that is no problem. I will be glad to do that.
And this is after a full factory reset. Turns out the NAND memory, because they are trying to prolong the life of it and not wipe it when they can just leave the data there, on a factory reset, it does not zero anything.
Although with the factory reset, you do have to take it apart to get the data. But a lot of people don't even bother with the reset.
Well, who cares? I mean,
If you're desperate enough, yeah.
If I'm filtering through landfills for Alexas, that's what I'm doing this for. So I recommend smashing it.
Well, that's what Amazon would want anyway. So that
Never ordering it.
There's no resale market for these. That's how it goes.
Actually, I would recommend not buying one.
Yeah, there you go.
That's the first step.
Or build your own.
Or go in and modify it to put a different kind of old storage in there instead of the NAND. Have it running on a mechanical hard drive.
Oh, that would be cool. Like we always talk about legislation and standards. It would be so awesome if all of the permanent storage in all devices was mandated to be a removable standard format. Then it would be upgradable, but also you could take your information out and be sure that it's not retaining anything.
Form factor is going to be a problem with those little tiny devices, though.
Oh, micro SD card fit anywhere.
Yeah, it's fine now, but 10 years from now, they're going to be something else.
It'll be like SIM adapters. We had SIMs, and then we had SIMs, and then SIMs, and then nano SIMs. And then it'll be like that.
I'm not going to hold my breath for that. And this one is not a hack and not an exploit, not even an intrusion. This is just a horrible, horrible thing that a company is doing that you can't stop. You can opt out, but it's by default, this is turned on.
Intuit to share payroll data from 1.4 million small business owners with Equifax. That way Equifax has got information about your salary and your credit report and all that. Equifax, those wonderful stewards of security and, how else are they going to do this?
Remember those headlines where it's like, can we ever trust Equifax again?
The answer is yes.
No, the answer is no.
No, the answer is yes for these people, though.
We can't trust them, but we're forced to.
Yeah. They don't care.
So yeah, if you are a QuickBooks user, you might want to go in and turn that off.
QuickBooks Online Payroll.
So they point out how a lot of the bigger ones are already doing this, but this is, this will catch all the, whoever's left in the middle class. Yeah. There's not many of us. And this one has already been mitigated, but wow.
No, it hasn't.
What a flaw. Overwhelmingly a bad thing that can happen, and most people have this turned on and don't even think about it.
If the Revel thing didn't ruin your holiday weekend, how to mitigate the Microsoft print spooler vulnerability print nightmare? The answer is still turn off the print spooler and don't print anything. Microsoft issued a patch. The patch didn't fix it. People noticed. And it was like, oh crap, we notified people that this exists, and it's a 4-alarm fire. It's very bad. Let's issue another fix. And then they sent that fix out. And then guess what? That didn't fix. And then they did another fix. That was yesterday morning. Everybody's computers rebooted. Guess what's still not fixed?
And this is full. If you can get anything on that print spooler, you can get full administrative access. Isn't it the domain controller?
If you have a domain controller that is also a print server, you're SOL.
Yeah, so they do have some recommendations here, which is basically, open up PowerShell, turn that shit off.
Yeah, don't worry about printing for right now. It's fine. This is just another data point that proves that printers are an invention of Satan.
Also, you have to have the print spooler to use PDFs.
Yeah.
To print to PDF, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
We should just stop using paper.
I like this image, though. That's a nice image.
Yeah. I like that the line art is a little bit kind of crooked and underdeveloped, like the patches they made to fix this.
The printer looks really sad.
Yeah.
The printer is sad. Its existence is pain.
Let me die.
Wouldn't all printers be sad?
Yeah.
Why would a printer be happy?
Yeah.
Maybe if it really enjoyed the content that was printing.
There's only one printer that has ever been happy, and that was the HP LaserJet 4SI. And anybody that has experience with that printer knows why that printer is the happiest printer on earth. There has never been a better printer since.
It's a hot take. I hope we get a lot of comments about that.
It is the gold standard to which all printers throughout time and space should be judged. There should be alien civilizations that develop their own printing technologies that come here and say, yes, these earthlings on Earth, they developed the HP LaserJet 4SI, and it is a legendary device for transferring print to physical paper.
That's your comment bait for today, chat.
What are we going to drink tomorrow? Is it going to be the balls, or is it going to be the blood orange Focus? Stay tuned.
For more.
Or if you're on Patreon and Floodplain, you find out right now.
Bye. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is the Friday news. Today is July 16th, and we're doing social and nonsense. I thought when we were sorting the stories, I thought we had already done social as well. And I was like, did we just leave nonsense for Friday? That's probably not very good sorting, but we got social too.
And it might be the golden age for that, but it's kind of not a golden age for almost everything else.
No, this is the.
You drinking some balls there?
Yeah, this is the Balls Orange. And this is 2 servings per can. They're cheating because it is an ungodly amount of calories per.
What is that, 16 ounces?
Per can, yeah. 16 ounces. Ingredients, carbonated water, high fructose corn syrup, natural flavor, citric acid, yellow, number 6.
That's my favorite yellow.
Sodium benzoate as a preservative, caffeine, gum, Arabic ester gum, sunflower oil, and guarana extract.
What are the sunflower oils for?
Warning, this product contains high levels of caffeine, 102 milligrams per 16 ounces.
That's funny. On the front of the can, it says Balls Guarana, but that's the last ingredient, meaning it's the lowest amount of anything that's in there.
It's also, like, you guys probably can't see it from the angle you're at, but, like, you can see a little bit of the soda on top of the can. It's aggressively orange.
Yeah, it's like industrial waste orange. It doesn't, for some reason, it doesn't taste syrupy. I don't know how they're doing that.
Maybe just high levels of carbonation.
Maybe.
Does it taste like more like a traditional soda then?
220 calories per can. I guess that's about as much as a Coke.
Nah, Coke's more like 300, right?
Okay, so it does taste less syrupy than a Coke. That tracks.
Oh, you also gonna try peanut?
Yeah, these are the hot peanuts.
Take your bets now about how many shells end up on the desk before the end of the episode.
These aren't hot at all.
Maybe it develops.
Yeah,
Look,
give it a second.
The heat index is medium.
They're Cajun nuts.
Louisiana flavor.
This is about as hot as the not hot setting at the local Indian restaurant.
This is we kind of did an unfortunate combo here with the Balls soda and the nuts. It wasn't intentional, but that's what just happened.
I bet you're eating these Louisiana flavored peanuts because you're such a big Dustin Poirier fan, right? Obviously.
I don't know who that is.
Well, let's talk about some. Are you done with? You want to give a peanut review?
These taste like peanuts that have been dusted with hot salt. That's it.
Hot salt?
I'll try one in a minute, but I don't want to eat into the mic.
I think that ship has sailed, Krista.
Well,
Yeah.
listen, I try to be polite because some people get really upset when we eat into the mic or if and I get it because it is kind of annoying.
Yeah, it's
All
terrible.
right, last one.
Well, I will introduce the first story while you two are eating peanuts into microphones. And this one, well, the headline doesn't really point it out, but obviously it's in the social media section because he is very much targeted toward the social media companies. And this is not the same as you're like, oh, well, isn't Biden doing the same thing? No, the Biden administration is going after them because they are monopolies and that kind of thing. Trump is going after them because he's angry.
Trump sues the big tech CEOs because he's been canceled. It's like, no, I have a right to participate in your platform. I don't think this is going to work out for him, but we'll see how it goes.
He wants to be reinstated on all of a sudden. I remember that Facebook has perma-banned him with maybe a possible probation in the future. But I think Twitter has said never, right?
Right.
Trump, they point out, and Axios points out in the article, Trump, no stranger to lawsuits, but very few of them actually ever go to court. Krista, I know that one of your favorite things, and I don't like it, I find it unnerving to look at, was back when Zuckerberg covered his face in a thick layer of sunscreen.
Yeah, I love that picture. I have it saved to my desktop, and then so I can post it quickly for meme discussions.
And he caught a lot of negative feedback from that.
I think the weird was just that he just put it on so thick. Like he's using a zinc oxide sunscreen, but you can rub it in.
He's very afraid of skin cancer.
But he clearly just doesn't understand how the things that he does will reflect with other people.
Yeah.
And you would think that based on that, maybe he'd be like, oh, you know what? Next time that opportunity comes up, maybe I shouldn't post something like that because I don't understand the whole thing. But no.
Here's Mark Zuckerberg. Here's how he spent his 4th of July. Prepare to cringe.
There's a video here. This
And,
was trending on Twitter, so if you're on Twitter, you might have already seen it. But
And oh boy,
Yeah.
is that cringe.
What?
Only show a few seconds of it because I'm sure it's going to get flagged because
flagged.
you just got to go. You got to go look at it.
What's weird about this whole video too is he never looks at the camera and like smiles or waves or like gives a peace sign and nothing.
In his mind, that's Washington crossing the Delaware. That is the role that he's playing.
Who's he going over there to kill in their sleep?
Google.
Privacy. And Facebook also is very concerned about your safety and
Are they though?
the mental health of your quote unquote friends, because they're going to ask you some questions about them.
Facebook tests prompts users to ask if they're worried that a friend is becoming an extremist. This is according to CNN Business. This is like the new McCarthy. It's like, okay, we think you're a communist, but if you can name some of your communist friends, then we'll leave you alone.
It is kind of like that, except in this case, it's the communists doing it. So they're looking for, like probably any kind of gun talk or, January 6th type of stuff. And you can rat somebody out right there from the convenience of your Facebook prompt.
Somehow this data is going to be used for the algorithm that's training everything, but garbage in, garbage out.
Now, what happens when somebody finds out that they got ratted out on Facebook and then they got, a welfare check and it ended in some bad stuff and they go and kill that person?
I would say that that's probably already happened and we don't even know it.
Well, I don't think they've rolled it out yet, but I'm sure that kind of
Something
thing.
like that, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder what the threshold is for extremist. I guess we'll see soon. We'll probably do a follow-up story about that.
He's a custom keyboard building extremist.
Now, I would say that one of the things that we often cite as being just an absolute misery that we're glad that we're not currently dealing with is trying to find a job in the current market.
Yes.
Because you got the AIs, you got the online stuff where they're never going to even contact you. And now you have this horror.
TikTok tests letting users apply for jobs with video resumes. About 36 companies are taking part in the pilot.
I'm imagining like they're just making you do like TikTok dances. Sheesh.
Well, TikTok, I don't think that you get prompted. You're supposed to come up with your own thing. But TikTok resumes is like this new thing.
This would make sense for Starbucks. This maybe makes a little less sense for
Does it
something
even
else.
make sense? Like, what does this tell you about how well someone can serve coffee?
Yeah.
Literally nothing. I guess you could like make coffee from your house.
I don't think it's about that. I think this is just you proving that you're like upbeat and happy and friendly and
It's like
yeah.
that tells me nothing about how well you can do your job.
Yeah, well, perception is reality, Krista. You got to be perceived.
I want to opt out. Let me out.
You cannot. I mean, I'm sure that at some companies, the decision will be made. It's like, well, these two candidates are pretty well, they're right on the same level, but this one has a TikTok resume.
Yeah, look how happy he is. Look how well he can floss. Is flossing still relevant in this
We should
year?
go with this one. He did a really good lip sync of Taylor Swift in this one, so we're going to give him the edge.
We definitely are going to hire the sea shanty guy.
And another feature on TikTok that I imagine you two are also unfamiliar with this.
I read this when we first did Level 1. This is what I was talking about with the book thing.
Yeah, but you chose a book that's...
Yeah, I tried to read it.
Your book-
I tried to give it like a good college try, but it was
Another
rough.
It
title...
didn't have to be that book. It could have been any book.
Another title for the book that you chose, How to Be Autistic.
Yeah, I was kind of like waiting for more applicable stuff to come in that book, and then it never quite happened.
And I was surprised by that because you love the whole like Captain Kirk Kobayashi Maru ideology, and that book was like, no,
Yeah.
you are a computer, and you will only make computer decisions.
Yeah.
The book we're talking about is Algorithms to Live By.
We could revisit that though.
Yeah.
We just got to think of something a little better.
Well, it's fine. It doesn't have to be that book. I just like that book.
Yeah, sorry, we're
Now
kind
we're
of dogpiling you.
We're gonna
Anyway,
get so many bad book recommendations in the comments. Anyway, you weren't familiar with this, right? I'd never heard of it, but
never
apparently it is massive.
Yeah. TikTok is taking the book industry by storm, and retailers are taking note. Book Talk has sent old books back to the top of the bestseller list and helped launch the careers of new authors. Videos with the Book Talk hashtag have been viewed at a collective of 12.6 billion times.
It's basically like a book club. People talk about the books they really like, and then if enough people get traction with that, then
Or
your
why
book
they
comes
don't
up.
like them, which is perfectly fine.
But I think it's unlike a book club because it's, if not already, I think it probably is already, but if not already, it is about to be deluged with marketing.
Yeah.
It's about to be ruined.
It's not going to be organic anymore at all.
At Level 1, we've managed to maintain our small size and awesomeness thanks to sponsors like Linode. Check out that link below. And also our Flowplane and Patreon stuff.
Store.level1text.com.
It's a little
Consume.
It's a mindset that we like to call integrity through obscurity. If you don't know who we are, you can't corrupt us.
Excellent.
You can't sell out if nobody's buying.
Thanks, Linode.
Bumble. I'm not familiar with Bumble. I think Bumble is like the Sadie Hawkins of online dating. I think only the girls are allowed
To select.
Yeah. So it must be pretty popular, and now they're looking to branch out.
Bumble is opening a restaurant to help people date in real life again. Okay.
But it doesn't interface with Bumble, the app.
Yeah, no, it's just a place to go.
It's basically just a restaurant.
Yeah, and that seems like a horrible idea too, because restaurants have very bad margins. Like,
But
why
maybe
would you invest in that?
do you assume that everybody at the Bumble restaurant is single and looking?
What if somebody just wandered in there by accident? It's like, sir,
Yeah.
you can't be in here. The app doesn't know that you're here.
You have a ring on your finger? Get out.
Can I just get a grilled cheese? Are you DTF? And we often talk about how, we look at the horrible Hong Kong, China situation, and we're like, that's bad. We should condemn that. Our leaders are like, that's terrible.
But we have to talk about it in coded terminology.
Yeah.
And then all of our big tech companies come along and they're like, I don't know, it seems reasonable. I mean, that seems perfectly fine to us.
Reuters is reporting that, the platform that we're on now takes down Xinjiang videos, forcing rights groups to seek alternatives.
Xinjiang, I don't know how you pronounce that. If you don't know, that's where a certain subculture lives.
That's where a certain source of the world's kidneys comes from.
And labor that they don't want to give.
Now
cheap iPhones.
Now you might be thinking, what excuse could this company possibly give for such terrible behavior? Well, it turns out one of the common things that they do in these videos is they hold up their Communist Party ID card and they're like, this is who I am to prove that I'm related to this person who has disappeared. They're missing. We want to find them. This is who we are. And the company says that's doxing, even though it's their own ID.
I'm sure that being flagged by an army of bots from there also has nothing to do with it, because that's the thing that happens.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of ways to fall on that list.
Yeah.
So I guess don't do that. But then again, you want to try to find your missing family members. I get it. Unfortunately, I think they're probably, parts of them are doing great, but only certain parts. Twitter is looking at some new features. Wendell, I always default to you. You're really the only Twitter user here. How appealing is this to you?
Twitter considers new features for tweeting only to friends under different personas and more. There are a lot of marketing companies that, tweet under brands, and maybe that would be useful.
Well, I was going to say that would actually be useful for our use case because I monitor the Level 1 Twitter and mine.
Yeah.
And so it'd be nice to be able to switch between them a little quicker.
Are you not already allowed to do that?
You have to log out and log back in. It's not like YouTube where you have like a drop down where you can like select which account you want to look at.
But that constantly gets people in trouble.
Yeah. You would have to pay closer attention to what account you were tweeting from.
Even more than, I love my new Samsung, tweeted from my iPhone.
Yeah. What I'm thinking about the guys, you remember all the politicians who would tweet something and then there would be a reply would be like, oh my God, I agree with this so much. And they would forget to log out for the alt account. That will happen a lot more with these features.
Excellent. In fact, I think Twitter should go ahead and preemptively run that database and be like, all of these came from the same computer and IP address.
That could be a feature. Pay $5 a month, and we'll make sure that never happens. Well, Norway has a very amazing law. I think this is it's kind of overreaching, but at the same time, I kind of like it because it is. We live in a world where, again, perception is reality, except none of it is real. But the one big thing that echoed with me that I was completely unaware of in this article: Norway has a king, and the king has to validate all the laws.
Neat.
Who knew that?
Norway has a law now that forces influencers to label retouched photos on Instagram. The new law will require advertisements where a body's shape, size, or skin has been retouched. It's going to be labeled.
I wonder how many influencers don't realize that they're being filtered sometimes. Probably not very many.
I think most of them probably do it, right? I mean,
yeah, most probably do, but like sometimes you open those apps and like they just automatically apply like a beautification filter or something where it like erases your pores. Do you think there are any that are ignorant?
No, they know exactly what's going on. They have, like, they're very, very good at all that stuff. Most of the popular ones. Yeah, for sure.
Instagram reality is a strange subreddit that's full of people who have altered themselves so much in their photos that like they don't even look human anymore.
I'm constantly seeing headlines though where it's like, oh, such and such Kardashian released a like lightly edited pic and everybody's celebrating. It's like, oh, it's so brave. You didn't erase all of your flaws.
And like the flaws aren't even that noticeable to begin with. It's just like what? It's a weird world.
Well, Instagram at least has such powerful filters that they can cover you in tattoos or other kinds of interesting things. There's a lot of choices. A lot of people want, just like tattoos, people want all kinds of different things. But certain people keep coming back to the same ones. That could be a problem.
Instagram users call out platform over filter featuring a swastika tattoo.
And at first I was like, maybe they're using it like, in the ancient religious way. And then you scroll down and you look at it's in the video. But it's not that at all. It's like encased in like an Indian headdress. And it's like, I don't think that those cultures are even a little bit related.
They call it, I think it was called old school or something like that. Yeah, old school.
Was that built by AI? Because, it got trolled, if so.
By old school, do we mean like early 40s?
Yeah, I don't.
So, they're looking to get rid of that. But they still hadn't at the time of this. Anna Kaplan, New York State Senator, wrote her angry blog about it.
What a bizarre thing to not catch earlier before deploying it.
Yeah, it's a weird one. You think that there could possibly be a software developer who doesn't know the context of that symbol in the world right now?
No.
I mean, it's pretty ubiquitous.
Yeah.
You've seen it.
I feel like that they would have gotten a memo about it, if nothing else.
Yeah. Some code review.
Yeah. It's like, by the way.
Well, you know me, I can't pass up a black hole story. Now
this one's neat.
Yeah, we're constantly learning that black holes have new abilities. It's like they're in an RPG and they keep leveling up. Yeah, and they're getting more and more powerful. All toward the singular goal of destroying Krista and her family.
Yes.
And now
they're coming for my dog.
This might be the most powerful feature they've ever developed.
We have an altruistic black hole, or cluster of black holes. A cluster full of black holes may be spitting out stars. So there's an area of this globular cluster, if I understood this correctly, where there should be a bunch of black holes. We're pretty sure there's black holes there. But there's a steady trail of stars emanating away from the black holes. And so what we think is that there's a bunch of black holes that are together, and every so often a star gets, sort of caught in the gravitational well of the black holes, but it's such that it ejects the black hole. It's like it slingshots around the sun like they do in Star Trek, but they've slingshotted around the black hole cluster, and so it's just this trail of stars. And it's not happening super quickly, but it's not happening super slowly either. So you end up basically with a line of stars, which is sort of unusual.
So you say you think it's a good thing. I think it's just a ranged attack.
Yeah, the black holes are just straight spitting fire.
They're firing stars off at Krista.
Yeah. That reminds me a little bit of Snake, where you get like some of the characters who can do like the rotating things and stuff that follow the snake.
Well, I've got some bad news, Krista. The Andromeda Galaxy is on a collision course with the Milky Way.
Well, I'll be dead by then, though.
And they don't have enough mages on their snake right now.
Yeah.
They're never going to make it past level 24.
Check out our Snake RX article. Is it sneaker eggs? Yeah.
I never know, like one mage, two mages. Maybe I need like the dual mage abilities. I don't know.
The all blue team was pretty strong when we did that.
You know that I think they've softened it quite a bit
Oh.
because I'm at +6 now.
Oh.
I'm max snake. 12 is max snake, I think.
What if he's looking at the analytics? It's like, wow, nobody. Okay, this should make it easier.
Level 24 is the filter.
I liked it when it was ruthlessly hard. Well, we live in a world now where we have fake meat, and that is kind of just commonplace, really. You can get fake meat almost anywhere now, but it's almost always beef. I think there's fake chicken too, right?
Yes.
I've not tried the fake chicken.
I haven't tried fake chicken either.
But a lot of that, I think, probably would be a little unsettling if we knew exactly how it was made, right?
Yeah.
They don't really want you seeing in the back, except this one. This company does want you to see.
San Francisco is getting the world's first cultured sushi tasting room where fish is grown in a lab. So this is grown tuna.
Is that just a wacky plate?
Yes.
Oh my God, that's so pretentious.
Is that a plate or a shell? It looks like it might be part of a shell.
Oh yeah, it could be a show.
That's ridiculous. So they say that this is not a restaurant. This is like a tour, like an experience. So you're going to go and see exactly how this garbage is made. Then they're going to give you a little piece of it.
This is so good, I could definitely eat it. ...
What's it? I wonder what the base. What's the base material? What's it grown from?
Well,
It's meat. It's just grown.
You got to take the tour, Krista.
I'm not going all the way out there for that.
What I want to know is this vegan? Like,
Yeah, I would say so because it's not. I guess if it's made from like a plant.
I don't think so because some people are moral vegans and some people are health vegans, and this would not be a health vegan.
Yeah, this would be health.
If it was grown from cells forcibly extracted from a fish, that's probably not okay. But what if it was grown from cells that a fish naturally shed?
But that's only if you care about the fish's point of view. If you're purely in it because you think eating vegetables is better for you, this is meat, right?
Yeah. Interesting.
I did see that a study pretty much figured out, like, yeah, animal protein, if you're trying to build muscle, animal protein is the only way to go.
Yeah. I don't think anyone's made the argument that like.
Oh my God, Krista, there's going to be so many vegans that correct you in the comments.
Well, I don't think anyone would argue that like meat's probably a better source, but there are sources that are vegetarian that would work as well as protein.
But
sources.
no, that's what they were studying. It's like a non-trivial improvement.
Yeah.
Just if you have meat. This is a bizarre article. I love the animal articles, although sad animal articles do get in there a lot. I feel like we need to still appreciate and pour out a little balls for this gentleman. I don't understand why they did it. It was wrong, and it makes me sad.
Peacock gunned down after Craigslist ad took out a hit on the bird. Basically, there was a peacock around a Florida neighborhood because, of course
it's
this
Florida.
is Florida. And they said, there's a peacock that's wandering the neighborhood. It drives me insane. They can be a little territorial.
And they're very noisy.
And so I was just like, well, somebody please kill this thing. Somebody did. It suffered.
Shot it.
Yeah.
Now, they have identified the man who posted the ad asking for someone to kill the bird. But he just like, there's nothing illegal here. Stop, leave me alone. Is it illegal to go on Craigslist?
To put a hit out on a bird.
Yeah. I don't know if he was offering anything in return for the death of the bird.
Here's a question that's kind of only slightly related. Can you eat peafowl?
Yeah.
Peacocks?
Well, I don't know about peacocks, but remember when Venezuela had their little socialist thing? They ate the flamingos.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you can eat. I wonder if it's a choice edible, I guess. Like, is that good meat?
I don't think so.
No.
I think it's
Try it. If you've eaten a peacock, let us know.
I think it's kind of dark and oily.
Mm.
My grandparents had a peacock that would hang around their house. It was very ill-tempered.
I don't think I've ever met a good-tempered peacock.
Also, I don't think you get a whole lot of meat from a peacock.
I mean, you get plenty out of a chicken. Peacocks are bigger than chickens.
But I don't think it's like, you're not going
Maybe not as good
Good.
quality.
to... engagement challenge.
Yeah, if you've eaten a peacock.
Peacock
we need
butchers. This headline,
to know. It's horrific.
but it's not what you think.
At least it's not Florida.
This is accurate, but we use so many different interpretations of this word. It actually, they never touched the whale.
Yeah.
So
Kite surfer charged with molesting a whale and her calf in South Australia. So this is Australia, not Florida, and it doesn't mean what you think it means.
turns out these are really, really protected because I think it's because that's the Japanese
Oh,
whaling.
what they eat, yeah.
So you're not allowed to get anywhere near them. So she was buzzing them in her kite surfing, and that was considered to be molestation.
Okay.
Yeah.
The old version of the word, like she was bothering the whale.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's not so bad. That's kind of like a feel-good story, right? Like, it's not as bad as you thought it was.
But I don't know if the whales liked it.
Probably not.
But it's better than the alternative that article headline suggested.
And the whales have learned to avoid, human mechanisms, and maybe they'll avoid the whaling ship next time.
And if that whale had, like, flapped its tail up and smashed her, and she died, would we kill that whale?
No.
You don't think so? We kill bears and stuff when they do that. I guess they eat people.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, bears kind of, they repeat the behavior. If a whale did it, I don't think whales would do it on purpose.
I don't know if I trust a whale not to reoffend. Serial whale slapping. This one is another terrible animal story, and you have to wonder why. Especially because I don't think these are particularly rare in this area.
Is this Florida again?
They're actually banned from. They're a nuisance, and they're banned from cultivation and some other things.
But you can kill it. Remember because you always hear stories about when it gets too cold down there,
Yeah.
they freeze and fall out of the trees and destroy people's cars.
Man arrested after police say he tried to sell duct-taped iguanas from an SUV. So they couldn't even really get him on much of anything. It's just a misdemeanor, and it's like it probably would have been okay if he wasn't like duct taped, but you're not supposed to breed them, and they're a nuisance, and you're not supposed to do anything like that. So
22 because there were 22 iguanas. 22 misdemeanor counts of animal cruelty. Online records indicate it may not be the first time he's tried to do this.
Wow.
He came back for more. How much would you pay for an iguana?
I think they're considered like an exotic pet, so they're probably not cheap.
an exotic pet that's also a nuisance.
No, but they're...
Like people release them.
I think what he did, he went to Miami where they're everywhere and then brought them back up north where they're not everywhere. So it would have to be cheap enough that driving to Miami is more expensive.
Yeah.
Getting your own. It's like with Christmas trees. You can bond with your family. You'll have a much better time if you go and get your own iguanas. Don't buy from an iguana farm.
Just steal them off the streets of Miami, as the good Lord intended.
Often we get these stories about children who have severe mental problems, and it leads to great tragedy, and you have to wonder, how did this person get to this point? There had to be other signs, right? Why is this always falling through the cracks?
Devil-packed British teen found guilty of murdering sisters in the bid to win lottery. Not his sisters, just two random sisters. This is a Reuters story. But he was living with his mom, and they tracked him down because he didn't have a lot of experience with murdering. Definitely some mental issues.
I think it was his first murders. So he'd made a pact. The name of this we're paywalled.
He'd written a contract out, and the reason they know that he'd made a pact with the darker powers is because they found said pact written in blood in his room at his house.
But the name
his
of
mom's house.
the name of the demon was so great. I can't remember what it was. It was like 4 names.
It was like Luciferus was one of them.
So the agreement that we assume he just made up in his own head was if he killed 6 women every 6 months, he would win the lottery.
Yeah, he didn't.
How long does that go on, though? He didn't define the terms of the contract.
He didn't make it very far.
I mean, we assume this was his first 6-month installment, right? And he was 2 in. And the cops were like, yeah, we're absolutely 100% confident if we didn't lock him up, he was going to keep killing.
Yeah.
Because he wanted that money. And he did buy lottery tickets. He bought 3, which I feel like doesn't show much faith in the demon. We've seen this story before, right?
Yes.
It was cocaine and another kind of animal.
Yeah.
But they seem to just be rehashing the entire thing.
Methamphetamine in waterways may be turning trout into addicts. So they did a control group where they did a control test, and the trout would choose the methamphetamine tainted water every time.
I didn't understand how they give them a choice between 2 kinds of water. They're already in water.
Well, it's probably a source. So like you've got a source of this water or a source of that water. Which way are you going to go?
Okay, I see what you're saying. They missed. They should have added a speech bubble to this picture.
Help me.
I can't say what I think the funniest one would be, but it would be the fish offering to do something to get money for more methamphetamine. This is rugby, right?
I just saw the headline.
I believe so.
It's Australia. I'm fairly confident this is rugby. And
Perhaps someone in the comments can explain it to us.
if you've ever watched rugby, a big part of rugby is everybody just being in a big pile, like
the dog pile.
just fighting and wrestling for that ball. And it is well known, and this in the NFL you hear stories about this too. Maybe not so much anymore, but back in the old days, the Pirates, Raiders, the LA Raiders were famous for this kind of stuff.
Huddersfield Edwards gets a 10-match ban for inserting finger into opponent.
So if I were saying to you, here's a man on the ground, and he has something that you desperately want, how do you get him to let go of it most efficiently?
Not that.
Not that. Yeah, my mind wouldn't go there.
I'd say that's super effective.
Not that.
His teammates were also cited for grabbing the testicles. Rugby does not sound like a sport I would like to play.
No. I have some friends who played it, and like it was rough, but I don't ever heard anything like that from
Well, but
their
this is
huddles.
on a professional level.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot at stake here.
Was that a pro move?
Yeah, only
Well,
pros.
He is a pro. He's going to be banned for 10 games.
Was that a whole season, basically?
I don't know.
Oh, probing pros, that could be a title. I'm going to forget that, but
And if you'll recall, was that the beginning of the year when they rolled this limitation out?
I remember, yeah.
Yeah, because they did I guess maybe because of the pandemic was a big part of it. All the kids were sitting at home gaming at all hours, and the Communist Party was like, we need them studying. We need them learning AI because we're behind in that. And they made a bunch of rules. Some of them got around it, but not anymore.
Tencent turns to facial recognition to root out late-night child gamers. You gotta, you're playing on your phone's got a camera there. Let's turn it on and see your face. If you look like a kid, the game doesn't work anymore.
Now, how about the next TikTok trend is makeup tutorials on how to trick the camera into thinking that you're 35.
What if it's done by voice, too? Then people like me get kicked off. Because I get a lot of, are you a 12-year-old boy? No.
God, imagine you're addicted to, whatever the big online game is and this comes down, that has to be crushing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably good for you overall, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not if you're going to become a pro gamer, though. You just started my career.
Or if you've done all your schoolwork for the day and you don't get done till late, and it's like, I'm gonna fire up and just do a quick match of my favorite online game, and you get kicked off immediately.
Right, yeah. Now, in this one, I was not able to find what their reasoning for this was. Did you ever understand what the government's...
No clue.
Like, there was never a good reason given for this. I've got to think it's just a high-ranking...
I would expect better of CNN.
A high-ranking pervert, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't want to say that.
Yeah.
But there's tactically, this is only bad.
Yeah. Ukrainian army's decision to make female soldiers march in high heels sparks a backlash. Gee, I wonder why. This is in the Ukraine.
And look at the size of that heel.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's not like a kitten heel.
How many miles do you think you could do in heels, Krista?
Maybe one, if I was lucky.
You're not a big heel wearer, are you?
I used to be more so, but they're just not comfortable for long periods of time. I don't mind like a chunky heel, but I don't like the real thin ones.
Also, isn't it true that in most cases, fatigues are designed to just be kind of frumpy and take away?
Yeah.
Like you're all supposed to be this shapeless...
Well, yeah, you want to be loose too, because if it's hot, you're going to get the swamp ass. You don't want something clinging to all your curves.
These pants,
they don't look like
they look a little tight to me.
They're going to be getting some swamp ass. And then you're going to have a bunch of female soldiers angry because they got the swamp ass. Unfortunate.
They look great, though. You can't take that away from them.
I'm sure that's why they signed up. They're like, you know what? Everyone loves a woman in uniform.
Also, it's in Ukraine. So not only are they marching with heels, but they have this constant specter of Russian invasion.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do about that? What are you going to do up against
Throw
those?
your heels at them.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a second bayonet. You can, hit them in the eye. With
Two
the
of
heel.
them.
A heel will work pretty well as a hammer. Ask me how I know.
But you probably couldn't split wood with it.
No. It works fine to hang pictures, though.
The other themed story that I've been loving putting in week after week is the Canadian housing market. And you think that because like the one there was a dead cat inside of it. What was that going for? Like 500,000?
Yeah.
And this one is considerably cheaper, but the caveat is much larger.
Vacant lot in Ontario could be a steal at only $99,000 if only it wasn't underwater. It's 7 acres. So they got a picture. No, not that picture. The yellow picture.
You want to see the plat?
Yeah, there you go. Look at that lot. That lot is enormous. You just need a little bit of fill dirt and you'll be all set. Or some stilts.
Now, in the current modern belief system, do we expect the water levels to go down?
No.
Oh,
No.
Oh, maybe the opposite?
Yeah. Maybe that's what already happened with this lot.
Maybe I could sell my basement to somebody from Canada.
It looks like it should be less underwater than it is from the shoreline on the rest of the plats, but, I don't know.
Weird toys is another recurring theme. We see a lot of toys. Usually it's the battery running out and people interpreting battery running out voice for something that it isn't. But in this case, it appears to be...
They uploaded the wrong file to the master.
Yeah, the actual thing.
Horrified mom finds dancing cactus toy swearing and rapping about cocaine in Polish. So this was not in Poland. This was somewhere else. But it turns out that that rapper's song was uploaded to this cactus accidentally, and then they mass produced it accidentally.
How angry are you if you're the rapper there?
No, he's weighed in and he's very angry and
Yeah.
he's looking at a lawsuit.
Yeah.
It's always weird
It's weird he's got a Raiders hat on.
when foreign music talks about drugs and sex and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you don't realize it when you're listening to it.
Oh, yeah, and you're just like, yeah, what a good beat. And you think it's like all upbeat and happy, and then you look up the translation.
It's like, oh no,
Oh.
it's horrifying.
Speaking of horrifying.
Yeah, but not as horrifying as this. This is, I think we've talked about this before.
This is the first joke in Futurama when Fry gets to the future and he's like,
Well, we've made jokes about this. Like,
Yeah. Well, it's a common joke, but it's in the past it's always been a joke of like, well, they'll never be able to do that, so we can joke about it. But now,
nightmare scenario, alarm, as advertisers seek to plug into our dreams. Core sought to steer unconscious minds to thoughts of beer. Scientists have called for curbs on targeted dream incubation.
I want out.
so the Coors company is experimenting with this. You watch a video before bed and then they play sounds, but they talk about some of the other studies that were more clinical about this. The most impressive one to me is if you were trying to stop smoking, they would put you to sleep and start to like waft cigarette smoke into the room and then rotten eggs on top of that.
Oh.
And it would sour people. They would smoke 30% less.
Huh.
So if they can do that, imagine what they can do.
We're going to be incepted. That's what's going to happen.
What would you try to make your dream inception make you do?
If I buy things, that's what they want.
No, I mean if you could like do it to yourself.
Oh. Make me believe I was a morning person. Because I'm not, but I wish I was.
I'd have to try to give up sugar.
Ooh, yeah, that would
seems
be a good one
impossible.
too.
Oh well.
That's just, okay. Yeah, that would be nice. But it's just it's so good. It's so good.
I think we've seen this story before
have.
as well, but this is
It's new.
July 6th, so I guess they're rehashing it. You are in a weird situation here, I suppose, but it's not their fault.
Parents ask Amazon to change the name of Alexa speaker after kids with the same name get bullied. You can make it respond to other things.
Yeah, but you're never
Well,
gonna.
people don't, yeah.
And they point out in one situation they actually moved the little girl to a new school.
Yeah.
But what does that change?
People are still going to know
Yeah.
Alexa is Amazon.
She's still.
like-
Why not change her name?
Yeah, or have her go by like Alexis or something.
Makes no
Or
sense.
just Alex.
I think no matter what choice you choose there's potential to be scarred for life. So
Well, I feel like that's something you just kind of get over. Like if you don't react to it, kids are going to move on pretty quick 'cause it's not that good of an insult. But
Or what you do after you get bullied for being Alexa, you go home and you get one of the Amazon boxes that's in your house, right? And then you bring it back to school and you're like, oh, hey, I got you something. And when they look down the box, you punch your hand through it and smash them on the nose.
Got him.
That is one way to solve the problem, yes.
And say, that was prime delivery, bitch.
You wake up and choose violence.
Now, I often feel kind of bad because I am essentially a jailer for my little cats. They want to go outside. Don't think for a minute they don't. They're afraid of it at first, but they would love to explore. But I can't let them because there's fleas and ticks and roads and stuff like that.
Ticks
But
are bad.
is that wrong? Am I giving them the best life? I don't know. I think about it, and these stories make me think even more.
Owners face fines as Council in Australia introduces a 24-hour cat curfew. When allowed to roam, cats are at a much higher risk of illness and injury, Mayor Lisa Cooper said in a statement. I thought it was because they were wreaking havoc with the local flora and fauna.
Yeah, so they kill stuff for fun.
Yeah.
They definitely do that.
You know, it's funny, though. You talk about being the jailer for your cats. Mom's cat was always an outdoor cat, and it wants no part of the outside at this point.
Oh, that's interesting, yeah. See, I always said that about my cats. Like, I wish they would have experienced some trauma in their early lives because they're so spoiled.
Around your house, just
Yeah, let them hang out with. No, you've got skunks around your house, right? Or at least you used
Foxes and skunks.
Yeah.
That's probably enough to traumatize them.
So I don't know. A lot of people push back and they're like, this should only apply to new kittens so that they never have to experience the outside, so they don't have to lose something.
Yeah, Mom's cat does not want any part of the outside, so
maybe I should just put them out for a week.
Hope they come back.
And then they come back and they're just like,
do you appreciate the greenies now? Do you like having your soft cat beds? I don't understand. So this is presumably a TV show.
Yep.
But what more could there be to this TV show than just what you would think reading the name?
Well, is it kind of like Wipeout? Did you ever watch Wipeout, where it was like an obstacle course in the water?
Oh, okay.
Maybe it's like that.
Like the ninja challenge thing?
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping it was like Japanese Ultimate Warrior, where
I think we're all talking about the same thing with different names.
Okay.
No, I'm thinking of a different show. This one's just for comedy. But
it would knock you off the thing and you'd slip and fall.
But it's
same genre.
Anyway, I don't understand how this show is formatted, but I do know they did not take enough precaution, Krista, with the water. It was Giardia? Yeah, it was. Oh boy, was there a lot of it.
Ultimate Slip and Slide premiere delayed following "quote-unquote" explosive diarrhea outbreak on set, according to this report in the Fox News channel. So, if you're sick, don't go to a water park because the water in the water park will communicate the disease.
And they should have enough. I would hope that they would have enough like chlorine and bleach in the water to.
We don't have that kind of budget.
To keep that from happening here, but
I don't. Is this a water park, or is this just something they popped up?
Probably something they popped up.
Yeah, so they're not taking the proper.
They did not bleach the water effectively.
The one that really stuck in my mind. You remember when that cruise ship broke down? Oh, the descriptions from that cruise ship, like that was just hell on earth.
It's no wonder those people's Fitbits are reporting that they've gone one foot in the grave.
Because here's a crazy thing about cruise ships that episode taught us. The plumbing on cruise ships is not gravity driven. It's pump driven. And when the pumps are out of power,
that's bad.
There are benefits to being on septic. Similar kind of thing. You're less likely, if something were to go down, it's less likely to back up on
You mean if your cruise ship is not connected to the municipal water supply?
Well, hey, that's the end of the episode. You should check out the Linode link.
What did you give these a
Those
score?
are great.
Yeah, those are.
I want to eat more of them, but I didn't want to chew in the mic anymore.
These are a great snack.
They're good. They're definitely like subtly spicy, but not bad.
Yeah, it is a very sort of subtle, lingering spiciness. It's quite good. Thank you again.
I kind of want one, but I also don't want to start my eating
kidney
window
stones.
right now.
Yeah, kidney stones also. Well, you can take some with you.
All right, Krista.
Bye.